What is up, fight fans? We are live streaming around the world on MMA Weekly, the most trusted source in news and entertainment in mixed martial arts for almost 20 years for UFC 265, Lewis versus Gane. What's up, fight fans? Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, along with Jeff Cain. The Caniacs are in the building, Jeff, for the Interim Heavyweight Championship tonight. Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, in his adopted hometown of Houston, Texas, against the Frenchman Ciryl Gane, who we both said would be in heavyweight title contention before the end of the year. I don't think either one of us thought it would be this soon. Jose Aldo, the legend, Pedro Munoz, the brawler, in the co-main event after Amanda Nunes tested positive for COVID and her scrap against Juliana Pena was removed from the card. But this fight week, we didn't lose much, which is a rarity these days for the UFC. And Lewis and Gane will get it on in Houston, Texas, like it or not, for the Interim Heavyweight Championship. Jeff, big night in Big Texas.
Yeah, pretty big night. Another Saturday, another fight card, and another champion that doesn't need to be crowned. But we're going to crown one tonight, and see how it goes. You know, you got a big. It's a great stylistic matchup. I'll say that it's a great stylistic matchup because you got this power puncher, right, and then a technical striker. So we're going to see how this works out. How Ciryl Gane's going to close the distance. How Derrick Lewis is going to deal with the leg kicks, and then on the inside, you know, Cyryl's got really good elbows. It's an interesting matchup, man. Just avoid that big right hand from Lewis because we know what happens.
Yeah, and last time we saw Derrick Lewis, Curtis Razor Blades was really doing well against him for one round, implementing that same strategy, wanting to go for takedowns, wanting to push him around the cage, be in his face, a lot of heavy volume all night. That's always the MO, and it's always what guys try to do against Derrick Lewis, from Big Country Nelson all the way on down the line. And, you know, Derrick Lewis is famous for getting beat up for an extended period of time, and with his size, you think he's worn down, you think his cardio's gone, and he finds a way to starch Alexander Volkov with 10 seconds left in the fight. He found a way somehow to beat Big Country Roy Nelson when he was losing the fight. The Ilir Latifi fight, when Latifi came up to heavyweight, a lot of people thought Derrick Lewis lost that one, but he's got a weird kind of gas tank. You know, everyone knows about that right hand. He hits you with that right hand like Curtis Blades felt on the uppercut. You're going night-night. You're going bye-bye. Like Volkov. I mean, they just after that shot that Derrick Lewis hit him with. Same with Blades. Couple extra ones for good measure. Derrick Lewis has a mean streak for sure, but he's definitely a lot better of a grappler than people give him credit for, and he keeps getting better. Now, is he going to take you down and beat you up with ground and pound? No, but as a grappler, he's great off his back, and he gets up pretty easily when people take him down. He's so thick. His neck is so big, his arms, his shoulders. He's very hard to choke, very hard to work jiu-jitsu against. Daniel Cormier figured it out. Obviously, he's elite of the elite, and he's calling the fights tonight. But it's not just the right hand for Lewis. Jeff, he's really become a much better all-around mixed martial artist, and I don't think he gets credit for it. Ciryl Gane does because he's good at everything. But Derrick Lewis, everyone thinks he's just the right hand. Sadly mistaken if Ciryl Gane thinks that's all he has. And you know Gane is prepared for everything, but Derrick Lewis is a lot more than just a knockout artist. And he is a great knockout artist. He has the most in heavyweight history. With one tonight, he'll have the most in UFC history. But, again, much more than just a headhunter.
Yeah, I mean, he's more than a headhunter, but you don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. You only got to worry about the right hand. You know, he's not going to submit you. He's not going to out-wrestle you. He's not going to kickbox you. He's not, you know, you just have to worry about getting hit with that right hand. But, yeah, he's hard to submit. He stays really calm on the ground. He doesn't panic, and he gets back up to his feet. And his hand speed is deceptive. I mean, you look at Derrick Lewis, and I think that's what happens with people, is they look at him and they get it you know, in the late the second round or in the third round with him, and they think surely with his physique he's going to slow down, and he does a real good job of conserving his energy. You know, and so He always has these little spurts. You know, he can always go on a 30-minute or a 30-second little spurt, which is enough to kill a lot of people. We'll see. Actually, the training footage and stuff from what the UFC's put out this week, his hands look faster than they have ever. I think that he's worked harder. Yeah, I think he's worked real hard on this fight, right? He has to go 5 rounds. You know, and he's talked about going 5 rounds at length in the past. It's not something he looks forward to. And I don't think he wants to tonight. And I don't think he will. I don't think this fight goes the distance.
No, and it's going to be interesting to see how Ciryl Gane approaches Derrick Lewis. We'll get to Ciryl Gane in a minute, but Derrick Lewis, the only guy at the top of the heavyweight division besides Stipe Miocic who has a win over the champion Francis Ngannou. So this would be a rematch if Lewis is able to win tonight of a fight that Lewis won all the way back in July of 2018 at UFC 226. But Derrick Lewis has fought 7 times since then, Jeff. And you go all the way back to when he lost to Sean Jordan early in his UFC career. He lost to Matt Mitrione in his 3rd or 4th UFC fight. He's fought in Bellator. He's fought at Legacy. He's fought at RFA. And then he's been in the UFC since all the way back in 2014. But he's fought, you look at the guys he's beaten. He's beaten, Travis Brown and Roy Nelson and Gabriel Gonzaga and Marcin Tybura and Francis Ngannou and Alexander Volkov. And then he's beaten Alexei Olenek and he's beaten Curtis Blades. So he's beaten almost everybody at the top of the division. He's never fought Stipe, and that would be a good one as well. John Jones now calling himself the champion in 2022 in a social media post the other day. Had the choice to fight Stipe this year or go for the belt next year, and he says he's going for the belt next year. But Lewis's losses, Mark Hunt, Daniel Cormier, Junior Dos Santos, he's gotten knocked out in those losses, and these are the recent losses, 2 of them. And DC was able to say, I don't know how you submit that guy with a rear naked choke with the size of his neck, but good on DC to be able to do that. Derrick Lewis will win by decision. 2 of his last 4 wins have been, Jeff, like we said, by decision. Now, those are 3-round fights, not 5-round fights, but he does have the gas tank to go the distance, and that's deceptive. Ciryl Gane, we know he has the gas tank. We've seen him in his recent fights, and we've seen what a great fighter he is, and we talked about it. I even said 2 fights ago, this guy's going to be a major title contender. I didn't expect for it to be so soon. I didn't think they would skip over Stipe in this fight. I didn't think Ciryl Gane would be fighting for an interim belt right after Ngannou won it, but it's where we are. It's what they did for the Houston card. You made the most sense out of anybody who explained it. And for those of you who weren't sure how Jeff broke it down, he's absolutely right. He said that the only way you can put a main event above Amanda Nunes is to have it be a title fight. That's why this is an interim title fight, period. End of story. But that being said, Jeff, for Ciryl Gane, I mean, talk about a story here. This guy is 9-0. I mean, he's a baby in the game. He's 9-0, just getting his career started. Only has 2, I would say, Junior Dos Santos, I'll put him up there, former champion, kind of like a gatekeeper now, but and he's gone anyway. But Rosenstrike and Volkov back-to-back are the wins for Ciryl Gane, both by unanimous decision, dominated both fights, but not that thick of a resume, and he's got the chance of a lifetime to put that gold around his waist tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's an uphill battle for Gane, if you ask me, although he's the better well-rounded fighter, and I think he has the more well-rounded skill set. He doesn't have that one-punch knockout power, so he's probably, the longer you give Derrick Lewis in a fight, the bigger the chance he's going to land that big bomb at some point. And so I think that while Ciryl is going to look good in this fight, he still has to be very, very careful all the way up until the last minute the last second, in fact, of this fight, because we saw that with Volkov. Derrick Lewis has his power all the way to the end of a fight, and that's a dangerous thing. So wearing him down doesn't guarantee you much of anything, other than maybe you're going to land easier on him, but it doesn't diminish his punching power and his ability to just knock you into next week, man. I don't think there's anybody. I mean, Francis Ngannou and Derrick Lewis absolutely are the biggest power punchers the sport's probably ever seen. Man, Mark Hunt, man. I don't know. I don't want to say
Mark Hunt's up there too. But I'll say this: there should be 2 heavyweight divisions. They should break it up. There's no way guys should be fighting at 225, 230 against 265-pound guys. There should be heavyweight and super heavy. There has to be. There has to be 2 heavyweight divisions in the future of the sport. But that being said, Lewis outweighs Gane by what, Jeff? Between 25 and 30 pounds. And Gane's taller. How often have we seen a Derrick Lewis opponent taller? Volkov being one of them. But when I look at Gane with the height over Derrick Lewis and a little bit of a reach, which is weird to see against Derrick Lewis, but Lewis outweighs him by a lot. So trying to push him around, and a big part of what Ciryl Gane does in the octagon is getting in tight on guys, pushing them up against the cage, doing things like that. He's not going to be able to do that. At least I don't think he's going to be able to do that against Derrick Lewis. So he's going to have to do what he did against Rosenstrike, I believe, and stay at distance. Same type of thing. The only thing he wanted to avoid from Rosenstrike was that right hand or the kick, the head kick. Lewis doesn't have the head kick. He's only avoiding that right hand. So Ciryl Gane is going to be hunt and peck all night long. I think he's got to be, right? What are the choices he have in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get in and out. And then that's where the danger is the getting in, and while you might be able to do it early in the fight, As the fight goes on, Lewis will get your timing down and he'll start getting closer, if not landing punches, the counters to that. It's going to be interesting, man. I mean, Gane gets in the pocket, in and out fast. That's probably his best asset. Is his movement. It's like Dana said, he does move like a middleweight. I mean, he gets in, he gets out. And the one knock that I would have on Gane is that he doesn't, for a heavyweight, he doesn't possess that one hitter quitter power, which a lot of heavyweights do. Most of them, in fact. I think that's the criticism a lot of people have of John Jones going up, is that he didn't have punching power at light heavyweight. He's certainly not going to have it at heavyweight. So Gane's going to have to get in there and put in the work tonight, man. He's got to be very careful. He's got to stay technical. He's got to stick to the game plan, not get drawn into a slugfest with Derrick Lewis, or he's got to probably lose that. But if he can just stay in and out, 1-2, boom, in and out of the pocket, leg kick here, leg kick there, he can absolutely beat Derrick Lewis on points. There's no question in my mind on that. It's just, can he do that without getting clipped?
Can he do that without getting clipped is a big question. Meanwhile, Jeff, fight number 1 is underway on the main card. 45 seconds left in round number 1. Song Yadong and Casey Kenny, and that one is at Bantamweight. And the first thing that popped into my head when I thought of this fight, two very athletic guys. Casey Kenny, last time out, had a 3-fight win streak snapped by the Dominator, the legend, Dominic Cruz. And Casey Kenny with a bit of an advantage in this fight against Song Yadong. And you might be wondering what that advantage is. His teammate, Kyler Phillips, just fought him. So they did a whole camp at the MMA lab for that fight. Kyler Phillips defeated Song Yadong in his last fight, or his previous fight before this loss last week. But for Kenny, who helped Kyler Phillips get ready for that fight, for his coaches who helped get ready for that fight, seemingly an advantage coming in here against Song Yadong.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to prepare that much for an opponent. I mean, it doesn't hurt at all. Yeah, and for Yadong, he just has to mix it up a little bit from what he did in his last fight. He knows that. He knows that as well. But yeah, that's a definite advantage.
And he beat Chito Vera. His last time before the Phillips fight, Yadong beat Chito Vera, so he's a pretty good fighter. I mean, not just anybody can get in there and beat Chito.
No, he's a good fighter. You just styles make fights, and that's what it comes down to. And they figured out a style that beats him pretty well. I mean, he likes to stand and brawl in front of you, and so as long as Kenny doesn't do that, although he is doing that in this fight, I think that he can outwork him and out pressure him and wrestle him and beat him in kind of a dirty fight. Not dirty as in breaking the rules, but just gritty fight. That's a better word, Jim. But yeah, this is a great fight to kick off the main card. Action packed, man. Bantamweights are always action packed, so they put them on early on the card. And as we build to that main event, and then after this, we have the ladies' fight that I didn't realize there was like animosity between those two until the press conference. I'm not sure Angela Hill did either,
right?
And then, that was a pretty funny exchange, where Angela was like, "I'm not taking it personal," and then Tisha Torres was like, "Well, you made some comments about USADA and some things," and then Angela was like, "Oh, so it is personal." That was a pretty crazy exchange, and that's a rematch as well. But they fought a long time ago. They're both very different fighters right now.
Very different fighters, and that's going to be a scrap too. I mean, Torres, Taekwondo, Muay Thai, striking, and Angela Hill. I mean, she's a great striker. She's a world by decision that splits. If you look at her record, it's extremely and that's just the judges. Could have gone either way. But, man, I'll tell you what, if Casey Kenny doesn't get the hell out of that pocket, he's going to get pieced up here by Song Yadong. He already took a couple of shots in that first round, and he's standing in there. He loves to bang, no doubt about it, but sometimes that's not the ideal strategy. So right now they're in round number 2, about 4 minutes left, and Kenny just ate a left hook, a counter from Song Yadong. Good movement from both guys, and, of course, being the bantamweights, not going to see a lot of knockouts or knockout power, but certainly in the co-main event, a lot of knockouts between Jose Aldo and Pedro Munoz, and then Torres and Angela Hill. We have a potential, and we've already seen some pretty good, we've had some decisions in the prelims, but that flying knee and the punches from Manel Cape early in the fight card, and then Miles Johns, and then the girl fight with Melissa Gatto with the TKO Dr. Stoppage. There's been some good hands being thrown throughout the night, and right now Song Yadong's kind of picking apart Casey Kenny with leg kicks, and Casey Kenny is absorbing a lot of punishment here in round number 2 from Song Yadong. But I mean, literally, it's the main card is bantamweight, women's strawweight, welterweight, bantamweight, and then the heavyweight. So we're going to see a lot of athleticism, a lot of great fluid movement, and then we're going to see the two guys. But that is, in my opinion, Jeff, what sets Ciryl Gane apart from the rest of the guys in the heavyweight division right now who he's competing with, or one thing that he has an advantage. He's quick. He does, like you said, he moves like a middleweight. And the other thing I notice is I watch all the embeddeds and I watch all the fight week coverage. He's not feeling any pressure. Derrick Lewis feels a shit ton of pressure, and he's admitted it all week long. Ciryl Gane is not really feeling it, so I wonder if that plays a role in this fight. Maybe a bit of an adrenaline dump for Lewis, being a title fight, being at home in Houston. Who knows what's going to happen there mentally for him or emotionally as he gets set to be in the octagon or when he gets in there. But Ciryl Gane seems calm and cool, and maybe he's just too young and doesn't know what it's like to lose at 9-0, but he's not feeling the moment, at least as of yet. That can all change when he walks out into the arena, as we know.
Yeah, I mean, it can all change today. Today's where you're going to feel that big amount of pressure, and the self-doubt and everything. You're contemplating what happens if you win, what happens with you, if you lose, and you're playing out game plans in your head. Today is the most stressful day, and more importantly, in the locker room right now, while the fights are going on and you're getting your hands wrapped and you're getting loose. That's where the pressure really mounts, and that's where you'll see fighters throw up and I don't know. I think being nervous before a fight can play both ways, man. It can help you a lot, and then other times not so much. I don't know how this is going to play out, but I agree with you about Ciryl Gane. He does seem really relaxed this week. He doesn't seem like anything's getting to him, even during the weigh-ins when Derrick Lewis kind of charged, bull charged him or whatever the hell you want to call what he did.
Yeah.
Gane just kind of looked at him and stayed calm and was, but we'll see how that turns out, and we'll see once they introduce him. This is the biggest fight of Ciryl Gane's career. This is arguably the biggest fight of Derrick Lewis's career, and it certainly is considering what's on the line. And so it's going to be interesting. And I think that's a variable that we got to entertain for sure. Because this is the biggest fight of Gane's career, and he does look really relaxed right now. And Lewis, like you said, he's nervous. He's in front of his hometown. He's got a lot of pressure. He's expected to get a knockout. He holds the win over the champion, that rematch, the way they could build that fight. He knows. I think he's more nervous about the implications if he doesn't win,
Yeah, without a doubt. And there's a great storyline for either one, Jeff. No matter who wins, there's a great, and we never doubt, at least I don't doubt Dana White. I mean, there's a great storyline for Ngannou no matter who wins this fight. Derrick Lewis beat him. There's the storyline there, period, point blank. He has a win over the champion. Stipe is the only other guy who does. That's number one. Number two, if it's Ciryl Gane, they used to be teammates, and they trained together for a long time in France. And Ngannou, of course, his story from Africa to France and being homeless, and he split ties with his coach after the Stipe loss. The same coach still coaches Ciryl Gane. So it's obviously one of those things where you look at it, at the MMA factory with Fernan Lopez, and you've seen the footage this week. I know you have, Jeff, and if you haven't seen it, people out there watching, that's footage of them training together from a long time ago. But the thing that they said about Ciryl Gane, and it doesn't look like he has a lot of power, they're saying he hits like a truck. We haven't seen that against Rosenstruik and Volkov. He was very conservative in those fights. So that being said, he executed the game plan flawlessly against both fighters. And for that, you think he should have knocked people out, or you think it wasn't that exciting. They came up with a great strategy in both of those fights, and he executed it 100% to perfection in those two. And so if that's the game plan against Lewis tonight, to stay out of reach of that big right hand, not be in the secondary to primary position or distance too much in this fight, get in, get out, wear him out, be quick, be fast, utilize your advantages, and that's all well and good till Derrick Lewis dials up an H-bomb with the right hand at any point in time. But that's going to be the game plan for Ciryl Gane. I'm just excited either way because it is what it is, title fight. I wanted to see Jones versus Stipe before Stipe lost the belt. We didn't get to see that. I wanted to see Jones versus Ngannou as Francis' first title defense. We don't get to see that. So they're not going to run it back for Stipe, although he had a great point. They should. They weren't going to do that. So the only way they could really get a good storyline going for Francis is to have these two fight, and it's either his former teammate and training partner or the guy who beat him. and it was a dud of a fight. Lewis and Ngannou was one of the worst fights I've ever watched in my entire life, and we all thought it was going to be incredible. But it was, you have two guys with that kind of power. Sometimes it's a vicious knockout that you end up seeing, and sometimes it's a little, salsa dance for a few rounds, and then they finish the fight. So either way, there's a really good storyline and a very upset, pissed off champion in Francis Ngannou with that belt. He's not happy.
Well, it's not what interim title fights are for. Interim belts are created when a champion can't defend his title for whatever reason, injury or, personal issue, whatever the hell the reason is, and we've seen it play out, throughout the years. And then a situation like this comes up where the champion, there's nothing wrong with the champion. The champion won the title not that long ago, and now we're throwing this in. But it's like I said, the belt doesn't really mean shit. It's a promotional tool by the UFC, and tonight is a glaring display of how the belts are used as promotional tools. This isn't about tonight. This isn't about tonight. This is about a unification bout that's going to take place later, like you brought up. It's got two great storylines. You either got an undefeated former training partner, or you got a rematch with one of the hardest hitters that's ever graced the octagon. So they had this great storyline no matter what. So tonight's interim belt to me doesn't mean shit. It's all it is for a promo, for embedded and countdown for when Francis Ngannou defends that belt for the first time, or the second. No, it's the first time. I mean, they're getting an interim title fight. He hasn't even defended the damn thing yet.
It's barely been 4 months since he won it. Barely. This has to be the quickest interim title fight in UFC. And then Khabib got to sit on the belt for a long time. You know what I mean? Conor sat on it for a while. You've had champions who have been out for a long time sitting on belts. This isn't about anything other than the storyline. And Lewis in Houston fighting in a main event for a title. That of course, was the biggest reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, it's twofold. It's like you said, it's for tonight, as far as ticket sales and local reaction and excitement about the fight card. And you get tons of coverage, on the hometown guy fighting in a title fight for sure. And so that was smart, man. I'm knocking it. But look, it's their promotion. They can do with it what they want. I think that they, demean the heavyweight champion, the heavyweight championship, and Francis Ngannou in doing what they're doing. But what the hell does it matter, man? We're going to have a crazy fight on our hands, and the winner of tonight is going to fight Francis Ngannou. So it's all going to work out. I'm not going to complain too much about it.
No, and that's yet. I mean, not yet, but. Playing Jeff, and I like what I'm seeing in there so far, but this guy Bruno's causing some waves in there, and he's a good fighter, got a lame personality, don't take it personally, but I think the thing about Ciryl Gane that you want to realize, he's got the potential, and he's just scratching the surface. He's getting better every fight, and the improvement that you see is almost mind-boggling. Every time out, he gets that much better. He's 9-0, and he has the potential to win an interim belt and then win the actual legit belt in his 11th fight. Think about that. In your 11th fight, you become a UFC champion, and Cain Velasquez did it in his 9th. So I looked that up, and I checked that out. But when you think about Ciryl Gane, he is nowhere near, at least from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, he's nowhere near reaching his top level. He's got a long way to go before he even reaches that, and we might see a case where we have a champion who just keeps getting better while he has the belt. Even in the heavyweight division where it's so tough to hold on to a belt, he looks like a guy with a style of fighting. He doesn't fall in love with the knockout. He sticks with the game plan. He seems like he could be a champion for a long time in that division.
I don't think so. There are no champions for a long time. No.
Stipe got 4 in a row, right? What does Stipe get, 4 in a row?
I don't know. Stipe got.
He has the most defenses. I know that.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like it's like a Anderson Silva's first year as a middleweight. Is the history of the longest champion in heavyweight history. It's just first. I think that because Cain Velasquez can get there in 7 fights, and because Ciryl Gane can be here in his 10th fight, is a testament to how weak and shallow the heavyweight division historically is. You're always one punch away. And it's not, I don't even mean that it's shallow, or weak. I know I said both those things. It's just that it's the heavyweight division. It only takes one damn shot. You could be doing everything perfect, and then boom, Curtis Blades. You could be doing everything right, and then it just go right out the damn window in one shot. And so while I say no, I don't think he can hold on to it for a long time. That's not a knock on Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane's a stud, man. As far as a heavyweight goes, I mean, as far as a heavyweight fighter goes, nobody moves like him. Stipe in his prime a few years ago was close, man. Stipe's fast. I would love to see those two fight.
Me too.
Love to see that fight.
Great matchup.
I just don't think anybody holds on to it that long. And because Gane doesn't seem like he possesses that one punch knockout power, he's going to be in a lot of grueling fights, and that's just not good for longevity. But I could be wrong. It's like you brought up. Ciryl Gane just fought two strikers, and so he didn't get a knockout, but he won the fights. And so over a lesser striker than those guys, does he get that knockout? We're going to see all those things. That's the crazy thing about where he is in his career. There still are unknowns, but all those unknowns are getting answered for the most part. The only thing I want to know is, does he have the knockout power to deal with these top guys in the division, the Stipe, the Francis, and the Lewis, because that's where it's at. We're going to find out tonight, man. I mean, I've been wrong about Gane in the past. I picked him to lose his last two fights.
I've been on the Gane train for a long time. I've been on the Ciryl guy. I saw him fight for the first time in the UFC, and I went, holy shit, this guy's he's the total package. Meanwhile, Jeff, they're about to go to the decision. I think Song Yadong's going to get it here. He landed a lot more volume, but Casey Kenny, with some big strikes in that third round, absolutely made a nice showing for himself, but I feel like Yadong's going to win the decision here. Buff's got the cards. From the way it's going, it looks like it might be a split decision. I got the closed captioning on, but it's a little behind. Yeah. Oh, one judge says 29-28 Kenny, 29-28 Yadong. Here we go, Jeff. Split decision. Song Yadong by split. Oh, Kenny's pissed.
Well, considering the significant strike count,
look at badly outstruck.
Yeah, that should have been a unanimous decision, in my opinion. But whatever, the right guy got the win. And like you brought up, it was a really big advantage for Kenny. But some fighters, game plans go out the damn window a lot of times in the middle of a fight. You get caught up in the moment. Everything goes silent. You're just locked in, and you deviate. And Kenny's one of those tough dudes, man. That he doesn't mind a brawl. He doesn't mind that at all. And so tonight, man, I feel like that's what happened to him. I felt like that wasn't exactly the game plan. The game plan probably was to work some wrestling and close the distance more. But it was an entertaining fight.
Yeah, and it's good to see Uriah Faber coaching and having success that way. I mean, such a great ambassador to the sport. The California kid needs to be around in some capacity, but seems to have found his way as a coach, man. He's doing pretty well. It's hard to convert from being a good fighter, great fighter, to great coach. Best coaches are the athletes who didn't have everything come easy. They weren't the stars. Usually but in MMA, these guys are wrestlers and grapplers who were competing in empty gyms and just busting their ass from the time they could crawl for the most part. So Uriah Faber suited for that job. But Song Yadong, a really well-earned split. So you got to remember, you're in Texas. This isn't Nevada. The judging in Houston, we don't know what the hell's going to happen tonight. But what we do know is we're off to a really good start. That was a brawl. And the prelims main event with Fiziev and Bobby Green was a war. I can't believe it was a unanimous decision for Rafael Fiziev. I thought Bobby Green really looked good in that fight, but it was a really – and Morales and Rodriguez before that. Alonzo Menifield put on a clinic against Ed Herman. Jessica Penne with the submission over Carolina. It's been a really good fight card so far. And how can you go wrong when the $6 million man's in the building? Lee Majors. You got to love it.
Really? Lee Majors is there. That's a name I don't even want to say. I didn't even know he was alive still.
Roger Clemens, they're in Houston. Roger Clemens and his kid are there. The Rocket in the building. He knows a thing or two about bringing heat with that right arm like Derrick Lewis does. Different way. Roger Clemens would have been a hell of a puncher, I'll tell you that. I interviewed him when he went to the Yankees, Jeff. I covered the Yankees in spring training for 3 years when I was getting started in my career. Happened to be the 3 years when they were dominating and winning the World Series during the middle of the dynasty. Clemens, who's about 6'4", 260 at the time, is Derrick Lewis's size exactly. He goes, defensive hit people. You know what I mean? Piazza, but UFC fan. Roger Clemens in Houston, Texas. The Rocket is in the building.
Yeah, I haven't seen Clemens in a minute. Haven't seen him since he probably had a Yankees uniform on. Wasn't a Clemens fan, man. He was a Red Sox, so the Yankees decided to buy up. You know.
Yep.
Uh,
He was a Red
but
Sox.
yeah,
I agree with you.
Look,
He is a Red Sox to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna. I mean, he's one of the greatest pitchers of our lifetime. I mean, period. I would be a dick if I said otherwise, but I don't have to like the guy.
He had some
I
help
only liked
along the
him
way, though,
briefly.
Jeff. Like his resurgence was directly in line with the steroid era. Let's just say that. All of a sudden he's going. He was like 13-12 for 3 years in a row, and then he's 24-4. Like, he's twice the size. He's 24-4. No, he's clean.
And twice the age.
Yeah, he's clean. He was clean.
Yeah. Well, look.
When he went to Toronto.
Like I said, I liked him when he was in a Yankees uniform doing well. But I was ready for him to get the hell out of there. I don't know, man. I felt dirty when we got Clemens because I'm a Yankees fan. I was like,
me too.
Let friggin' Red Sox keep his ass. I like Clemens and all. It was a great addition, but that was sour grapes, man. It was sour grapes. It'd be like UK basketball hiring Coach K. I'd never watch it again.
No doubt. Or Patino after Louisville, not before. But it's interesting, too, when you think about Clemens and Wade Boggs ended up going to the Yankees late in his career, another Red Sox player. But when I look at Roger Clemens with the Yankees, he really had two shining moments. He wasn't great with the Yankees, but he did win Game 4 of the sweep against the Braves in '99. I'll give him that. And then in 2001, I was at the game. I was at all 7 games. Because I was covering the Diamondbacks, and I had to do a post-game show for the friggin' Diamondbacks after Game 7 in Arizona as a Yankee fan. Worst night of my career and possibly my life. But Roger Clemens pitched brilliantly in that Game 7 against Curt Schilling, and they had the lead when he left. So it wasn't, anything that Clemens did or didn't do in that game. He was amazing. They just ended up losing. Mariano lost it, it happened 3 times in his whole career, and that was one of them. But Roger Clemens in the building tonight. Who else? James Harden's not there anymore. Who's on the Rockets now? Anybody know? I don't even know who's on the Rockets anymore.
Hell, man, I can't keep up with. I do good to keep up with the one sport I cover for a living. I've had it. It's so sad, Jim. I don't watch Kentucky basketball anymore. I don't have fucking time. I don't watch. I'm an avid race fan, man. I love technology, and so to see these guys go, especially like IndyCar and Formula One, man. I mean, you're going 240 miles an hour. That's crazy to me. And catastrophic when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
I just don't have time. I don't have time. Thank God for Sports Center, man. I mean, thank God for Sports Center. I'll say that because you can catch, in an hour, you can catch up on every sport in the friggin' world. And before that, life just wasn't that way, man. It's a shout out to, I guess, to ESPN. That's where the partnership with the UFC, I guess it falls in line. I'm not a huge ESPN
falls in
fan,
line,
but I do like Sports Center.
I do like Sports Center too. You can catch everything going on there. Check us out in the chat room. Hey guys, by the way, subscribe, like, have some fun, ring the bell. Let us know that you're going to know when we come on and anything we do live here on MMA Weekly. Whenever we put up a new video, you'll know right away when you hit that bell. We love the subscribers. I mean, and if you want to hit us up too, Jeff and I both have our own Instagram and our own Twitter. I'm right on the verge of getting 5,000 followers, which is absolutely nothing. It's minuscule, but I've gone up about 700 followers in the last few weeks since I put in this new program, and I'm excited about it. So if you want to follow at @JimGrease _GRIES, Jim Grease, that would be great. Or Jeff, what's your IG? I forget. It's Jeffrey Cain, right? But it's something. You have a spaceman suit on.
Yes, I do not know. I never.
I do not know. Jeff's an attention hound. In case you haven't figured this out, he doesn't know his own Instagram.
Yeah, I have an Instagram, but I mainly use it to keep up with fighters. And I don't want it cluttered up like my Twitter feed is right now. That I'm trying to clean the hell out. But it's at Jeff MMA Weekly on Twitter. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, and then Facebook, you can find me the same way. And then emails, Jeff Cain at MMAWeekly.com.
Leave him alone on Instagram is what he's saying. He doesn't want you on his Instagram. Stay away.
Yeah, I just don't use it. I don't use it. I had another original Instagram account, but my son had a school project where we had to take photos and upload them to an Instagram account. And I was like, I'm not going to let you have an Instagram account at 8. And so I converted over that one. And so the one that I'm using now is actually a secondary account, but I had to have nothing on there, nothing except for fighters. That's it. So I can go on Instagram and figure out what everybody's talking about, what everybody's doing. And that's the way my Twitter feed used to be. And now I've just followed too much random shit, man. So Twitter's almost useless to me now, man. I can't keep up with it. It's too cluttered. It's just too cluttered. I'm getting Yankees updates, man. I'm getting Kentucky basketball updates. I'm getting local weather updates. I'm getting local school updates. Friggin' the local police department, and then I'm like, oh yeah, there's a UFC tweet. So yeah, I got to clean up my Twitter feed, Jim. I got to clean it up.
That's a little much. And meanwhile, the girls are on their way to the octagon right now. More on that in a minute. Kevin Less in the chat, it's backed up a little bit, says Derrick Lewis is a one-punch lucky fighter. LOL. Ciryl Gane going to destroy him. LOL. To call Derrick Lewis a one-punch lucky fighter at this point in his career with what he's done and wins by decision and surviving on the ground and outlasting fighters the way he has, he's a hell of a lot more than a one-punch lucky fighter. I don't think that's fair to call him that at this point in his career, Jeff. I think he's a lot more than that. He wouldn't be where he is if he was a one-punch lucky fighter.
Well, I mean, you can go test it, man. Go line up a bunch of local bums and have them try for a takedown, try to hit one of them with an uppercut. And you tell me that if Lewis is lucky. He trains hard in the gym and works on his hands every day to be able to land that power punch. It's not lucky when he throws it. It's not lucky when he lands it. Now, I will say this. Is Derrick Lewis one of the most one-dimensional fighters in the sport today? Yes. Yes, he is. But his dominance in that one dimension is so overwhelming that he's fighting for an interim title. And so
when he hits you, you just fucking, I mean, like your grandchildren are going to feel it. Ask Travis Brown, and he loved it because that was when Travis Brown was accused of beating his ex or whatever, and I hate to bring that up because he seems happy with Ronda, and they're good, whatever. But what I'm saying is Derrick Lewis took pleasure in pounding him. Derrick Lewis took pleasure in throwing those 2 extra shots at Blades because Blades was talking before the fight.
Don't mess with Lewis.
You don't want to piss that guy off, man. He has a nasty mean streak. And, Ciryl Gane doesn't want to see that tonight. Meanwhile, Tecia Torres, Jeff, is walking to the octagon right now. Angela Hill's already in there. You know that each of them have 8 wins, tied with Thug Rose Namajunas for the 3rd most in strawweight history in the UFC. Interesting. I wouldn't have known that before the UFC put that graphic.
Yeah, they were both on that season of The Ultimate Fighter. A champion will be crowned or whatever, a new world champion. I don't know. The one that crowned the inaugural flyweight champion, the one that Nico won and just went terrible. Her poor. I'm not gonna knock Nico, man, but my God,
she just got cut. Yeah, that's terrible.
You talk about a career, it just imploding. Right, you're on top of the world. You win the Ultimate Fighter. You're the inaugural champion, and you fight one more time in the promotion before they let you go. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hopefully she gets it good. But these 2 girls have been around forever, man. They fought in Invicta before this. Before they were on the Ultimate Fighter. They've been around a long time. That stat doesn't surprise me. Who has the most, Joanna?
I don't know. I didn't look that far over. I just saw
it's good.
Hold on, I'm going to Google this now. Most wins, UFC strawweight. And I got to see this. Let's see. We got all fighters.
While you're looking this up, let me correct myself because there's been too many seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. There was the one that they were actually on the one that Carla Esparza won the inaugural strawweight championship before getting destroyed by Joanna. Yeah. So I mixed up the 2 seasons and 2 weight classes. I apologize. But yeah, they were on that. They were even on an earlier season of The Ultimate Fighter, in fact, than the one I was talking about.
Where is Joanna in the rankings? That's weird.
I don't know. She may not have as many because she wasn't around as long as these girls have been. So I don't know.
No, I mean she's in the rankings on the UFC rankings page, but she's not in the there's a site that shows all the most wins, and she should be, but no, you got Torres with 8, Angela Hill with 8, Esparza with 9.
Oh.
And Joanna's got to be the other one. She's got to be. And Angela Hill's 8 and 9 in the division. What's interesting about Angela Hill, she could have way more than everybody because look at all these. I mean, look, Michelle Watterson split decision could have gone either way. Claudia Gadelha split decision could have gone either way. Let's see. Decision split against Courtney Casey in Nebraska in August of 2018. Courtney's got a fight coming up next month against Nina, Amanda's girl, Nina Ansarov, and then against Jessica Andrade decision. And those were unanimous, but 4 of them were by split decision. And she's got 8 wins already in the division. And then you got Ticia's got 8 in the division. One of them is going to tie for the lead with a win here, unless you get something, a no contest or something like that. but you're going to have a 9th win in the octagon from one of these two girls. They're both good strikers. Tisha's a very technical striker. She's good at Muay Thai. She's good on the ground. And Angela Hill would like to keep improving her submission and her grappling game, and that's where Torres, you would think, would have an advantage. But the interesting thing that I always find, and whether you're watching an open workout or whether you're cage side, these girls are weighing in at 115 pounds, Jeff, and they're jacked. These girls are big, strong girls for their weight. I mean, it's ridiculous when you look at how big and how strong they are for weighing 115 pounds the day before the fight.
Yeah, I've met Torres. I don't know that I've met Angela Hill. And look, she's a fitness specimen, man. No question about it.
Good kicks from Torres.
Yeah, Torres has a great kick. She's got really fast hands, and she's a well-rounded fighter too. She can take you down, and she's got a decent ground game. Angela Hill should have a reach advantage. She's way more improved since their first fight. So we'll see how this works out, man. Torres is a beast, though. If Torres gets her timing early, she's hard to deal with.
Yeah, and she's definitely she's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, black belt in taekwondo, black belt in karate. Angela Hill was undefeated at 16-0 as a kickboxer. We're going to see some striking, Jeff. High level. And Torres coming out guns blazing, throwing a lot of heavy volume early on.
Yeah, Torres usually employs a heavy volume output, because she's in such great shape, and she doesn't have to worry about gassing, so she can put that pedal down all fight long.
Wow, Angela Hill with a takedown.
Yeah. I mean, that might be a better game plan for her, because Torres was definitely getting off with her kicks and putting together combinations early, even though some of them weren't landing. She was putting them together and putting them out there. And so maybe that was a smart game plan. Take her down.
Take her down, wear her out a little bit, just approaching the 3-minute mark of round number 1. Pretty excited for this fight. I mean, when I looked at this card overall, I mean, you lose Amanda Nunes against anyone, you're losing a lot. She's a legend. Anytime you get a chance to watch her, you're going to want to do it. But bumping Aldo and Munoz up to the co-main, moving Chiesa and Vicente Luque to the co-main with Torres and Hill behind it, and Yadong and Kenny to start the card. I mean, you're going to miss Amanda Nunes no matter what, but this card was stacked, man. It was stacked anyway, and you got a legend like Aldo and a Munoz who will brawl and take anybody. I mean, look at the shots he took from Cody Garbrandt and was able to still come back and get the finish in that fight, what he was able to do, Pedro Munoz in other fights. And when you think about the fights that he's lost, I mean, the Aljamain Sterling fight and the Frankie Edgar fight, both decisions, one unanimous against Aljo, and Edgar with a split decision that some people, including myself, didn't necessarily agree with. Munoz is that guy. One little thing here, one little thing there. He's in title contention in a stacked bantamweight division against Jose Aldo, looking to fight his way back to the top and get another title shot. You got Dominic Cruz cage side commentating the fight, the bantamweight legend himself. You already have Yadong and Kenny in the bantamweight division with a ridiculous scrap to start the card. And somebody in the chat said Kenny got robbed. You're only watching the big shots in the third round because he got outstruck and outlanded in every round. One of the judges did see it his way, but Jeff, under 2 minutes left. Torres volume, but neither girl has been able to do much in the way of damage so far.
Yeah, I mean that's typical, especially for the lighter weight classes. There's not a lot of them that they're usually long technical fights, and the finishes come late unless it's a submission. But yeah, man, look, Amanda falling off this fight card. While, yes, it might have diminished this fight card tiny, I think it's better in the long run because now they have a championship title fight to headline a future card that may not have had one otherwise. And so I think in the long run, this is good for the UFC because this event or this fight card didn't drop that much by losing Amanda because you have the local guy, Derrick Lewis, fighting in an interim title fight. So it just doesn't drop that much. That's not a criticism of Amanda Nunes. I just think that she's worth more on a different card later, potentially even headlining it. And so I think that it works out all the way in the end. Hopefully Amanda recovers from COVID and gets back in there, and we can put together that fight pretty soon. Did you see Juliana Pena kind of press Dana White on that at the press conference? I thought that was kind of funny.
Having a little fun. Wow, these two are real. Oh my God, Torres with some nice combos and a good push kick. Wow. She's landing some heavy stuff on Angela Hill, overkill with about 20 seconds left in round number 1. Heavy volume. Man, it's fun. I like Tisha Torres. And I like Amanda, too. I mean, I like both of them. Angela, I mean, not Amanda. We were talking about Amanda Nunes. I like both these girls. I enjoy watching them fight. They show up and they show out every time. They throw a lot of volume. They're looking for a finish. Torres is throwing kicks and elbows and punches. We've already seen a couple of takedowns in round number 1. 1 second left in the round, and they both were scrapping like mad dogs in the final 10 seconds of that round. A lot of fun watching this fight. You're missing out if you're not seeing it right now.
Yeah, Torres, this is the way she fights, man. She's always been fun to watch. And Angela Hill, she's fun to watch as well, man. I mean, yeah, man, we don't have to dislike one of them or like one of them better. I think that this is a great matchup. Both of these women are great for the sport and great for the division because even though they're not at the top of the division, they have been, and they're a good litmus test for all of the up-and-coming girls. I mean, if you beat Tisha Torres or you beat Angela Hill, then we know you're headed towards the top of that division. And plus they're great to watch, man. You know, they're extremely exciting, high output technical strikers.
When you look at Torres, right, she lost to Thug Rose in April of 2016. Rose the champion, obviously, right now. And then she ripped off 3 wins in a row over Beck Rawlings, Juliana Lima, and Michelle Watterson, the Karate Hottie, right? Then she lost 4 in a row, all by unanimous decision to Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Zhang Weili, and Marina Rodriguez, a rising star, right? And then she has 2 wins against Brianna Van Buren and Sam Hughes back-to-back after that. So, I mean, you look at her record, she's 12-5 overall. She's only got 1 knockout and 1 submission. She's a decision fighter for the most part. Meanwhile, for Angela Hill, if you look at, in this division, in this, no doubt about it, she lost 2 in a row to Claudia Gadelha and Michelle Watterson by split decision. But other than that, she's won 4 out of her last 6. And Hannah Cyphers is in there, and Ashley Yoder's in there. So they've both faced a lot of high-level competition. They've both been around a long time. And right now they're in round number 2, 4.5 minutes. And the difference that I've seen so far in this fight, Jeff, has been the kicks thrown by Torres. Her kicks are next level, man. And she throws combos with her kicks lightning fast. She'll blitz one side of your body with the right leg, come right back with the left, and she lands both of them. That's rare. That's not easy to do, man. That's very tough.
Well, I mean, and Torres usually is at a reach advantage in every one of her fights, and she does a great job of using her legs as jabs and to keep the distance. She's got that push kick that she's great with. She's got that side kick, and she just does, and then a front kick to the body. I mean, she uses her legs because she's at a reach advantage, but she does it so effectively. But yeah, man, look, the lighter weight classes, you're going to have a lot of decisions, particularly in the women. You know, it's hard to get finishes, unless there's submissions. Not everybody, even Rose, that was a head kick knockout, but she's not known for not, there isn't really any women known for their knockout power except for Amanda Nunes. The other ones are kind of like, yeah, some of them have it, but you don't see it all the time. And most of the fights are just beautiful displays of violence that go to a decision, man.
Yeah.
And this one probably will as well. I mean, unless you get it, like I said, that submission. I mean, some of them have knockout power. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, Amanda Nunes stands head and shoulders above everybody in that department.
Yeah, and she's 20 and 30 pounds heavier than these girls, which makes a difference. Angela Hill with another takedown. And Torres is outstriking her 2-1, Jeff. And from what I'm seeing, and you're more of a technical guy than I am, but it's the counter of the counter.
Yeah, I mean, Tisha's the one kind of getting off the combination, and you're right. Angela Hill is countering, and then Tisha Torres counters the counter with another 3 or 4 punch combination. She's just relentless, man. She's absolutely relentless. I think it's smart for Angela Hill to keep trying for these takedowns, but I don't think she's going to get anywhere with it. Tisha Torres has a pretty damn good submission defense skills.
It was funny, like the things you learn watching Embedded, and this is just literally off-track thought on my part, but Torres was signing the posters. They get there on the Tuesday and they sign all the posters, 150 or whatever, 300 or whatever, however many freaking posters they sign. But Torres is signing with Jose Aldo, and Aldo's signature, so she's like, dude, your signature's so small. It's like tiny. Aldo's signature barely showing up. All these fighters write these huge signature. Aldo goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," and it was funny just watching the two of them interact. Torres has some. She's got some real good personality. I like her. She can make herself some money. The more she wins, she's got great personality.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. What's sad for Tisha Torres is the prime of her career. She was in Invicta, and the sport wasn't, or women's fighting wasn't big enough for her to be the star in what I felt like was her prime. She's not far from her prime. It may not be out of her prime. It's just that the UFC, she hasn't fared as well. But she's exciting to watch. I mean, I agree. I mean, she could be a star 100%. How she doesn't have a boatload of fitness sponsorships is beyond me. And maybe she does. I don't know.
And she's only 31. She's got a lot of wear and tear and a lot of fights under her belt, but it's only 31. So usually you hit your prime 30, 32, that range. But She looks good tonight. She looks fast. 35 seconds and counting left in round number 2. Torres and Hill, the second fight on this card after Song Yadong beat Casey Kenny by split decision, despite of landing a lot more punches and a lot more significant strikes than Casey Kenny did, but a scrap all the way through for both of them. There's Zhang Wei Li, and she's anxious to try to get her belt back. I feel like she's going to be training and moving camps here soon. I got a little inside info. Can't say anything about it yet, but as soon as it breaks, we'll be all over it. But she's looking to make some changes in the way she does things. And here's where Angela Hill, now that the round comes to an end, she gets the takedown, finishes in top position. That's how you steal a round. You steal around late doing that. But the kicks of Torres, Jeff, as I look at the replays, the kicks of Torres are landing into the inner thighs and the outer legs and the midsection under the rib cage of Angela Hill. Those counters, some of those right hands they're showing right now, the right hook counter has been particularly successful for Tisha Torres. And Angela Hill's corner has got to be telling her right now, look, you're down 2 rounds. You got to get a finish here. You can't bank on that takedown late winning you round 2. It seems like Torres has done enough to be up 2 rounds to none right now. And whenever you talk about judges, especially in a state where there aren't a ton of MMA events all the time, then you never know what you're going to get. But so far, it looks like Torres is up 2 rounds to none.
Yeah, look, I don't know what the punch count is or the strike count, but Torres has to be a significant advantage over Hill on the stats right here. And look, and while she ended that round on her back, she got taken down because she missed that crazy kick. I don't think that I credit Angela Hill with scoring a takedown on that one. Now, in the first round, she did. But I don't know, man. Angela Hill has to. I think that she has to have a finish here. I think she's down 2 rounds to none, and she's just getting outworked. She's just getting outworked. Oh, is Jim muted? We're into the final round. I don't have any audio on your end, Jim. Or I can't hear you. Hopefully the people can hear you. I cannot.
Okay, I'm back. Is that it?
There you are. Yes, sir.
Okay.
There you are.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on right now. Nice right hand from Hill coming off the cage. I feel like that she knows she's got to come hard and dominate this round and get a win here. But so far, I'd say it's going to be a decision win for Torres based on what I've seen. But we still have 4 minutes left in round number 3, Jeff. And we don't have the podium tonight. If we have to run to the bathroom, we got to cover for each other. We have no podium to give us a little break here.
Well, I have a plan though. I have a plan on that because we're going to talk about Derrick Lewis soon, and we will run a clip, and then that will be our moment, Jim. That's going to be our moment to.
That's a pretty fast clip, man. I know.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, we got to run fast, but yeah, we do have that.
Scott,
maybe we'll just run it twice. Maybe we'll run it twice so they can get a real good look and make sure they hear what Derrick Lewis is actually saying.
Here's Derrick Lewis on I didn't get to see that last comment. What was it, Scott, that you just threw up? There you go, Jim. That a boy. Oh, okay. All right. I don't know what that's for, but I appreciate that. We love our crew that comes in and watches with us on the chat every week. Jeff, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, like, comment, throw it all in there for us. We're enjoying this fight. We got 3 minutes left in round number 3.
Yeah, and it's an action-packed fight. I mean, it's not like Angela Hill doesn't have a high output. She's just in there with Tisha Torres, who has an insanely high output.
Insane. And she's throwing spinning back fists and elbows still in round number 3. The cardio is on point for both these girls. They're in great shape. Angela Hill coming forward still, looking for that leg, trying to take down. Big right hand from Hill, followed by a counter from Torres. Man, she throws volume fast. She just threw a 4-punch combination coming off the cage like lightning. Bam, 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 bam. Real fast.
Yeah, her hand speed is incredible. Is incredible. I posted an Instagram video of her a couple of days ago, just because of her hand speed is crazy. It's absolutely crazy to see her hit the mitts. Oh, look at there, Mayhem. Is that? No, that's not Mayhem. I saw him from the side. It's like, what the hell's going on? That is from the Ultimate Fighter, though.
Talk about the best nickname in the most fitting nickname in the history of the sport, Mayhem Miller. Perfect.
Yeah, well, it suited him. It suited him well.
It really did. In and out of the cage.
Yeah, that's Angela Hill from. Yeah, it was the Ultimate Fighter champion will be crowned season. There's Mayhem.
Hey.
There he is. Oh.
Encouraging him, ladies.
Why are you encouraging him, ladies? Yep, Mayhem Miller, man. He was big, man, for a minute with the bully beatdown and stuff. You know, I mean, he kind of imploded a little bit, but he was big for a minute.
Man, Teddy Atlas becoming a big UFC guy all of a sudden, realizing boxing's half in the bag. Maybe more than half. Spinning back fist thrown by Torres.
Yeah. It might just be easy money, you know, or people calling him more now, you know, because or I don't know, man. I don't.
The fighters love Teddy Atlas and Freddie Roach. They do.
Yeah, I mean that's what, you know. GSP went with Freddie Roach and Andre Arlovsky, and it kind of and now there's more people. Yeah, I think that you're going to have. Well, I think what's happened, honestly, and I hate to say this, but you know, Jake Paul and them, you might want to work on your boxing because, you know, after your MMA career, depending on how popular you are, you could have a pretty successful and lucrative boxing career, even if it's one fight. Ben Askren.
Oh, takedown for Torres with 15 seconds left, and she has the numbers on her side in the striking department, and now she's in top position, and she's going to finish this fight on top of Angela Hill, throwing some serious heat. Nope, Hill got up. I didn't think she was going to. 2 seconds. 1, she gets thrown along the fence as the end of the fight hits, and that's a great, great performance by Tisha Torres, a world-class performance. Both girls looking good in there, but I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, another tough decision loss, Jeff, for Angela Hill.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a unanimous decision. Look, she's tough, man, but she is where she is in the rankings and right where she should be. You know, she is better than everybody below her, but she just has a hard time beating the people in front of her. She puts on great fights with them, you know, and they're competitive fights, but she just doesn't typically win them. And tonight was one of those cases. She looked good in there. She just got outworked by a fighter who put together way more volume of punches and strikes and kicks and everything else.
And then taking advantage of Angela Hill swinging for the fences late to get that takedown.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Torres win this fight here, and then we'll get into, oh, man, Chiesa and Luque. You want to talk about two tough dudes. Holy crap. That's going to be a good fight.
It's an interesting fight, yeah.
Here's Buffer.
Where are they ranked? Okay, yeah.
I like Mike Beltran. Any card with Mike Beltran's reffing, I'm a fan of his. I like him.
Yeah, so Chiesa's ranked 5th and Luque's ranked 6th.
Yeah,
that's a huge fight in that division. That is a huge fight in that division.
Two good strikers, one a wrestler, one a grappler, yeah.
Yeah, all these main card fights were fights that had implications, in my opinion. Now, will Yadong get ranked over a win over Kenny? Probably not. But Torres might move up a couple spots, and Chiesa and Luque has huge implications towards the top of that division. Aldo's sitting at 4, and Munoz at 9th in the bantamweight division, and then of course the heavyweight we're going to crown an interim champion. But yeah, this main card has a lot of meaningful fights on it.
Yeah, a lot of them. And Torres won 2 30-27s and a 29-28 Jeff unanimous decision for Tisha Torres over Angela Hill. She wins her 9th fight in the UFC's strawweight division. So that's a good thing for her. She now is tied with Carla Esparza, and I believe Joanna's got 10. Carla and Tisha have 9 each. So they're second behind Joanna. They just put up the graphics. So good job by Torres. Good win over Angela Hill. And she's in the octagon right now with DC, Daniel Cormier, who still needs a personal shopper. DC, I love you, but you need a personal shopper. He needs a stylist, Jeff. He's a big TV star now. He needs a stylist, DC.
What's he got on? I don't ever pay attention to what anybody's wearing, but
well, it's the jacket. It's just his build, man. Like, it's hard to look good in suits when you're built like DC. I mean, it's hard, man. It is. It's like I've been in that struggle before as a big fat guy, and he's not. I mean, DC is a mountain of a dude. Whether he's got some extra weight on him or not, his shoulders, his head, his neck.
Yeah,
it's just it's hard. The way that it's not like he's thin and svelte like a Dominic Cruz or a John Anik, standing there in those fancy suits. It's hard for DC.
Yeah, that's I wasn't. Oh, I look at him now. He's standing on the side. I don't know what I would do for DC other than dress him in black.
Yeah, and Rogan's got that trademarked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Get yourself a black jacket and get in there.
Joe's the dude. When you open Joe's closet, he has like 27 of the same exact black shirt. Rogan.
Yeah,
he always wears the same shirt when you notice that when he commentates, the same exact shirt every time.
Yeah. Well, I think that Cormier can get away with the white shirt. It's the jacket that seems that he's about to bust the seams on it, especially around the shoulder area. Yeah, man. Look, DC's earned it though, Jim. He's earned the ability to eat what he wants. He's retired, but he's definitely put on some pounds during the pandemic, man. He's definitely put on a couple pounds during the pandemic.
He's got to get in that wrestling room a little bit more with those Gilroy kids. Yeah, no, we all had our moments during the pandemic, and the pandemic's not over, by the way. I mean, this just in.
No,
the Delta variant is sweeping across the country, and we're not out of the woods yet. But the UFC still soldiering on, and I'm amazed we didn't lose any fights to COVID off this card.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Nunez, I agree. I know you're
that's
talking
the only one.
about Fight Week. Yeah, I know you're talking about Fight Week because we've lost so many during Fight Week in the events coming up to this. But I'm sort of surprised as well. And Dana come out because what's happening right now is a lot of people are taking strong action on vaccinations, and Dana came out and said he will not force fighters to get vaccinated because the NFL's policy, they're strongly pushing for the players to get vaccinated, and if they don't, and a game gets canceled or whatever, then they're gonna fine them or withhold their pay financially.
It's all about money. The NFL owners don't give a crap about anybody's health. It's money.
Right. 100% is what it is for everybody. If there's no game, nobody's making money. Yeah, they could care less outside of maybe Tom Brady. You don't want Tom Brady to fall to tragedy, but everybody else in the league's pretty much expendable.
Expendable.
I mean, it's from the NFL's perspective, but Dana came out and took a different stance. That he's not gonna force people to get vaccines. You get them, and nobody's gonna get repercussions if they catch COVID and have to pull out of a fight card. I think that's a good thing.
Me too.
And the UFC's done. Look, I don't care what the NFL does. I'm not dogging the NFL. Everybody has their lawyers and everybody has their people. The PR people and the strategists and so they're on their own strategy. The UFC's on their own strategy. We'll see how it works out. But the UFC's not doing it, and the UFC's used to the positive test, and they quarantine and rebook the fights later. Relatively, there's only been one fighter who seems to have. I mean, Cody Garbrandt said that he had some complications and questioned whether he was back 100% cardio wise. And then who? The Russian fighter, I forget his name. But the UFC's relatively. I mean, considering all of the tests that people who have tested positive and the fights that have fallen off the fight card, nobody's really fallen seriously ill. We're talking about an active fighter, except for the one.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's
can't
worth
say his
noting
name.
that we have lost a lot of. It was Chimaev. He was going to retire.
Mhm. Yeah, Chimaev.
Yeah, right.
He got
Yeah,
seriously
Chimaev.
ill. Yeah, he got seriously ill. But that's
Really
that's
bad.
been
Yep.
the only
And
real thing.
Khabib's father died, of course, from it too. Khabib's dead.
Yeah. I was talking about active
Which
fighters. We had
just
Paul.
but
What was his name? The Polish polar bear or whatever. He fought in like UFC 2 and 3. He actually died of COVID as well. But I was talking about active fighters on the roster.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, considering the amount of fights that we've lost, for us to only have the one, serious illness is kind of, hell. That's a ray of sunshine, honestly.
Weidman had it, right? Chris Weidman had it. It's been a tough year for
Tons of
Chris.
people.
All the
Yeah,
way.
a lot of people have had it. Now, Garbrandt did have some complications, and he's talked about that. But look, he's fought since then, and he's fine. But yeah, it's a COVID era, man. It's just a different thing all the way around, But Dana did weigh in on it, and that's usually the UFC's policy, right? I mean, you could say whatever the hell you want, you could do whatever you want, just don't crack any rape jokes on Twitter, and they won't fire you. You can say whatever you want. They're fine with anything, for the most part. It's just outside of racist and those rape jokes. The only reason why I say the rape joke is because I think there was a fighter years ago that made one on Twitter, and the UFC suspended him for a while, and so there is a line, but it's a line that exists in every damn sport, right? UFC's pretty damn lenient, man.
Man, 13 out of his last 15 for Vicente Luque, Jeff. I mean, think about this, right? He lost to Leon Edwards and then won 6 in a row and lost to Wonderboy and won 3 in a row. His wins, okay? Woodley is one of them. Mike Perry, Nico Price, Brian Barberena, Bilal Muhammad. He doesn't have a lot of big wins, but he has a lot of wins. And he lost to the two best fighters he's faced on that streak, and Edwards and Wonderboy. But he does. He has a lot of finishes, a lot of knockouts. I mean, Vicente Luque, he is an absolute beast, man. When you look at his record, he's got 11 knockouts in 7 spaces. At 20 wins, Jeff, 18 of his 20 wins are by finish. I love Luque. I think he's one of those fighters nobody talks about, underrated. People don't really right? At 50 against Anthony Pettis and lose undefeated back at welterweight with wins over Condit, Diego Sanchez. Those are, the senior tour, and then Dos Anjos and then Neil Magny. All 4 nice, solid, really solid wins by Chiesa.
Oh yeah. Chiesa's put together a fabulous resume as of late. I agree that people don't talk about Luque enough. The loss to Leon Edwards and the loss to Wonderboy. Yeah, man, when he gets to the top of the division, he struggled. But look, those wins, Nico Price, Woodley, the Barberena fight, Nico Price,
Good
those
fight.
are, Bilal Muhammad, those are solid friggin' wins, even Hector Urbina. Those are solid wins. Now, are they marquee names? No. But people, the fighters know damn good well how good Luque is. It's just the public hasn't figured it out just yet. I think they might tonight, though. It's going to be interesting, man, because Michael Chiesa has a way of making you look bad. If that makes sense. It's hard to look good against Michael Chiesa. He's on that 4-fight win streak. Yeah, he's. This is a good fight, man. A meaningful matchup, Jim. Those are the ones that I love the most. The ones that have implications.
The ones that mean something. Yep.
Yeah,
and Matt Brown's the only. Sorry, Jeff. A ripple effect. Matt Brown's the only welterweight with more finishes than Luque in the UFC. It's impressive, man. I mean, Kamaru Usman's working his way there for sure. Yeah, a lot of people want him to finish Colby coming up, and there's some question as to whether or not that fight card is going to remain in New York with all the crazy mask mandates that are going on in New York City right now. And the fans going in and the fighters with the UFC, the way they're doing things now, wonder if that card's still going to be in New York in November. But we have some time. We're going to see how that one goes as Chiesa makes his way to the octagon. Jeff, I hate to do this to you right now, but if I don't go to the men's room right now, I'm going to literally explode and maybe spontaneously combust, and that wouldn't be good for anyone.
Have at it, man. Have at it.
Run, be
You're
right
fine.
back.
All right, yeah, you're fine.
All
So
right.
we are up to the welterweight fight. Number 5, Michael Chiesa against number 6, Vicente Luque. This is a great fight, man. One of these fighters are going to move into title contention. The other one's going to move down the rankings slightly, not far. You can't lose to the 6th ranked guy and drop out of the top 10, or lose to the 5th ranked guy and drop out of the top 10. You could drop a couple spots. That's about it. But the winner could jump a little bit in those rankings. And these are two fresh faces for the top of that division because Usman's quickly running out of people to fight. Now he's got the rematch with Covington, but outside of that, there has to be a plan after that. And so that's where tonight comes in, and in the other welterweight fights. But tonight, you could definitely one of these fighters could etch their name right into a title fight potentially, depending on the way everything shakes out. So this is a good one. And then in the co-main event, Aldo and Munoz. It's man, I don't know. Munoz, Aldo keeps doing it. I can't believe that Aldo's not older than he is. He's just one of those. It's just one of those weird things, man. I don't even want to say Brazilians, but Nogueira comes up, man. When Nogueira fought in Pride, I thought the guy was 45 years old. He was not. He was like 25. And here's Jose Aldo. He's 34. That's it. He's 34. All of the things that Jose Aldo has accomplished in the sport, he is 34 years old. But you would think that he was 50. He doesn't look young and everything. He's still out here, and I think he looked good or okay in his last fight. We'll see. He keeps dropping weight classes, and that I don't know that he carries the power and stuff that he did at featherweight whenever he was ruling the world in that division. But yeah, man, Aldo's a legend. Those of you who watched Embedded saw that Michael Chiesa, that was a good moment. Michael Chiesa signing posters, and there's Aldo signing them as well, and he was talked about. He got a picture with him, and recognized that Aldo is a legend, man. There's no question about that. He's just at the latter part of his career right now. And so it's the part where either you have that second kind of run or people get tired of watching you lose. That's sort of where Aldo is right now in his career. But nobody can change the fact that Jose Aldo's a legend, man.
No, they can't.
We're at the later part of his careers. Yeah.
He's
only 34, Jim. He's only 34 years old.
He was so freaking dominant as a champ. I mean, you never thought he was going to lose. What Conor did was amazing because Aldo became champ again after Conor beat him, right? And that was just incredible what Conor McGregor was able to do to him mentally and then physically. But outside of that, man, the guy's a game. And every fight Aldo's been in has been memorable for the most part. I mean, for one reason or another. Even those fights against Max Holloway, and those were brawls. Those were great fights. When you look at his losses, McGregor, Holloway, Volko, who's the champion now, Marlon Moraes, and Petr Yan. Now, the Moraes fight, a lot of people thought Aldo won that fight. And then Yan, yeah. I mean, that was, I forget who was reffing that fight, but he was allowed to take 7,000 shots that he shouldn't have been allowed to. It was ridiculous what they did to Aldo in that fight. You're supposed to protect the damn fighter. But other than that, I mean, that's a lot of losses. That's 6 losses in recent for Aldo. It's a lot of losses, but I mean, it's against the very top. Was one of Vicano and Jeremy Stevens, and then he beat Chito Vera by unanimous decision last time out. His team seems to think they're going to fight Dillashaw in their next fight if he wins tonight. I don't see that happening under any circumstances. I think maybe more likely the guy sitting cage side. How about Cruz versus Aldo if Aldo wins? But that's a big if, dude. I'm going to say this right now. I don't think Aldo beats Munoz. I think Munoz is going to bludgeon him in this fight. I like Pedro Munoz a lot.
Well, that's what I was saying about Aldo. It's a double-edged sword. You become Jose Aldo and you dominate the world at featherweight, and then you lose, right? And then, you change weight classes. And because you're Jose Aldo, the legend, there are no easy fights. You're fighting the best in the world, no matter
right.
what, every time you fight. And it's just hard. It's just hard to put together wins, a streak of wins, which is why we praise the people who've been able to do it, man. They're far and few between. Aldo was able to do it for a long time. Now we're in the latter part of his career, and we'll see if he has one more in him, Jim. But I agree. I'm picking him to lose tonight. But I wouldn't count him out, man. Aldo's a gamer, and he goes out on his shield. And he's one of those guys that's dangerous all the way up to the last second. But I agree. I think Aldo's time has passed. This fight has started. We'll see how Chiesa is able to deal with Luque's stalking and his striking.
Yeah, very aggressive, and he's a tank. Chiesa's got the height and the reach advantage. He's a little longer, but the legs on Luque alone, and he throws with so much compact power. He's got a lot of muscle. You know, Chiesa, though, quick and got that left in there, hit with a jab. But Chiesa's dancing all over the octagon right now, clearly wanting to stay away from Luque a little bit. Chiesa has another bit of success with that left coming.
Yeah, this is
Jason.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird strategy. Chiesa is circling on the outside, you know, angles left and right. And
He just
Luque
got
is
dropped
stalking.
by a right by Luque.
Yeah, well,
Luque just dropped him with a big right hand. Oh, and a takedown by Chiesa. Beautiful takedown.
Yeah, it was like
Jeff,
Chiesa
are you behind me or are you?
A little bit, but you know, before the knockdown, it was like Chiesa didn't want to engage, and then he got dropped, and now he knows he's in a fight. You know.
Now he's got his back though. Chiesa with the jiu-jitsu, he's got the back of Luque, and Luque's been grappling with. I should note that no, never mind, wrong guy. No, it is the right guy with Gilbert Burns. He's been grappling with Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns is world-class grappler.
Yeah. I mean, right now, Luque just needs to fight the hands, two hands on one hand, fight the hands. And
he's got it in, Jeff. He's got it in tight. No, he doesn't. Good job by Luque. Wow, that was close. Chiesa not giving up on it, though. Pulling him back down. Trying to lock in that triangle and get it below the arms of Luque. And now Luque postures up, and he takes top position. That's some nice grappling right there by Vicente Luque. Oh, and he flips Chiesa. He rolls Chiesa over. Oh, this is nice. Jeff, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, this is fun. I'll let you take this. You're the jiu-jitsu guy.
Well,
this is fun.
I'm behind you. Yeah, I'm behind you right now. But Luque, defended the rear naked choke attempt. Who tapped?
Chiesa tapped. It's over.
So Chiesa tried to get he tried to get in the rear naked choke, but he was off to the side, and he didn't have both of his hooks properly in. And then Luque was able to gain top position, and then he's got him in it's a Darce choke. He just got him in a Darce choke. Yeah. Yeah,
he rolled him right over. I mean, and Chiesa had the rear naked, but he was off to the side a little bit, and Luque flipped him over, rolled into a Darce, and then all of a sudden I saw Chiesa tapping. I didn't think he was going to tap, but he just couldn't break that choke. And I mean, Chiesa was trying for that rear naked, couldn't lock in the triangle. Luque postured up, slid out, postured up, and he went right into a Darce, flipped him right over. Oh, that was beautiful. Beautiful jiu-jitsu by Vicente Luque. Are you kidding me, Jeff? That's as high level as high level gets right there.
Just slap the choke on immediately. Like as soon. The Darce is dangerous, man. I mean, because you don't realize that you're in danger until you are completely and utterly friggin' in so much danger. It's not even funny. That was nice because the Darce choke was in before he flipped him over. You know, that's he kind of used the Darce to flip him. That was incredible. But yeah, Chiesa made a mistake right there. He tries to get up. My replay's different, and he left he didn't protect his neck, and then the Darce choke goes in, and it's it. That is a wrap. Nice for Luque. Wow. That's a huge win. Huge win.
And you look at the odds coming into that fight, Chiesa was a little tiny bit of an underdog. It was very even. -60 to +140 was the highest I saw, but it was mostly -115 to -105. But Luque was the favorite, so the chalk comes in on that one. And you got Aldo and Munoz coming up next with Aldo favored, but not by much. Very close. All these lines on this fight card have been so close. Literally. You know, as close as I remember seeing on the lines of any fight card in a long time. A lot of even matchups, at least on paper, heading in. Luque with the win, though. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, that's high-level jiu-jitsu, right? Obviously. And Vicente Luque, you were talking about this earlier, Jeff. They are at 6-5 in the rankings. So now Luque will move up ahead of Chiesa and maybe ahead of Wonderboy. But it goes Wonderboy, Edwards, Burns, Covington.
But yeah, and Wonder Boy's
in the
coming off of a
rankings.
loss. Yeah, and Wonder Boy's coming off of a loss where Luque has this nice now 4-fight win streak, one over the former champion. You know, he's got 2 dark stroke finishes in a row. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it because he didn't have it until tonight. But his win over Woodley was a dark stroke.
Yeah, and Woodley had never been submitted in his career.
I'm scrolling down through here. He has a dark choke. His win over Nico Price was a dark choke. And yeah, those are he likes chokes though, man. He's got an anaconda choke over Hader Hassan.
19 finishes, Jeff. 11 knockouts, 8 submissions for Luque in his MMA career. Incredible.
Yeah, you go to the ground with Luque, you better be careful, man. That dark choke, like I said, it's sneaky. It's real sneaky. And he pulled that off over a guy who is very well versed on the ground.
And the thing about a darce choke is that your arm is not sunk in all the way in on the throat and around the neck like a rear naked choke. It's a completely different kind of choke that cuts off the blood to your head.
Oh yeah,
turns the lights out real fast.
Yeah, it's a dangerous freaking position. But like I said, you know what happens when somebody takes your back for a rear naked choke. You know what you got to do. You got to 2 hands on one, pull the arm down, straighten it out. Try to turn into him. With a darce choke, most of the time, by the time you realize you're caught in a darce choke, it's too late. It's too late. It's already in. And so that looks like what happened with Chiesa. He tried to get up, left his head exposed or his neck exposed, and Luque just seized it like a pro. I mean,
so who do you fight him against next though? Because he's teammates with Burns. Burns is cornering him tonight. Gilbert Burns and Luque, and Burns is at number 2. Wonder Boy's at number 4. Leon Edwards at number 3. You got Colby and Usman coming up. Would you like to see Leon Edwards and Vicente Luque fight next? Would you like to see him fight his friend and teammate Gilbert Burns? Probably wouldn't happen. He's already got a loss against Wonder Boy back at UFC 244 in November of 2019. So you have some options with Luque at the top of the division. And Jeff, the other thing that I noticed as I'm looking at this is, holy shit, man, the South Florida boys in that division between Covington and Usman went to Colorado recently, but Burns and Luque, Burns, and Usman are all from Sanford MMA, from one gym, and they're all in the top 5 now in that division. That's unbelievable.
Well, at one point, they were.
At one point, Kamaru's gone, but the other 2 are still there.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
And Kamaru left, if you remember, for the Burns fight. He left because of the Burns fight, and he felt like Burns was getting more love, so he went to Trevor Whitman in Colorado.
Worked out. It worked out for him. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. They do have options with Luque. I don't know who the hell they put him in there with. Right now, we got to get Usman and Covington out of the way so the top of that division becomes more clear. Because if Colby wins, then I would think they would do a trilogy. And then if Usman wins, then I don't really know what the hell to do. Do you do a number 1 contenders match between a Luque and somebody or I don't know. I don't know. But one thing for sure is Luque has put himself in the title talks now. Like after the Covington fight, he's either going to be in a number 1 contender match, or if he gets lucky, he could find himself in a title fight. It just kind of depends on what happens with Usman and Covington and what Usman wants to do if he's victorious. And then we'll see. But Luque's a fresh face. That's what I said when you went to go to the bathroom, Jim, is that the good thing about this fight is one of them's going to emerge a contender, and they're a fresh face because Usman's starting to run out of names. We're starting to see the reruns of these fights with the Covington, and so a win tonight puts him in a great position to potentially get a title fight in his next outing.
Man, okay. I mean I can't argue with that. I don't think he's right there.
Happen. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm saying that he put himself in that position though now, and now it's up to all this outside factors to see what happens to him in his next outing, who he gets.
I mean, the Wonder Boy rematch is a possibility. That'd be a good one for both those guys. Leon Edwards right there at number 3. I'd love to see Luque and Edwards. I mean, that'd be one that I'd love to see.
Yeah, that's the fight that makes the most sense in my opinion. And then that's pretty much a number one contenders fight.
He lost to Leon Edwards too, but he lost to Edwards all the way back in 2017. So he has losses to both Edwards and Wonderboy. So either way, it's a rematch of a fight that he lost and a chance for redemption. So I know he's going to like both of those.
Yeah. I didn't. That has been a minute. Yeah, he's got options. Like I said, the win tonight gave him some good opportunities. The next fight could be it could be a title fight, depending on the way things work out, or it could be one of two rematches that you brought up, or it could be a number one contender fight, literally a number one contender fight between one of those guys. I mean, Wonderboy's coming off of a loss, and so that sort of makes that hard to do with Luque coming off a 4-fight win streak. So I don't think that fight's going to happen next. And so you look at the Edwards fight. That makes sense.
Man, I can't wait for Blades and Rosenstruik, Andrade Calvillo, Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler, Valentina Lauren Murphy, and Volko Ortega is the next pay-per-view on September. Holy shit. September 25th is the fight card. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a good fight card, man. That's a stacked one. Or it is right now.
266,
That's all I care about. Yeah, that's all I care about right now. It's stacked right now, damn it.
They still have UFC 265 above the graphic. But
yeah, that Volkov Ortega was that fight's been a long time making. That fight should have happened, and then now they're coaching the Ultimate Fighter. Now it's going to be happening later. I mean, this is I'm pumped for that fight because I want to see if Ortega's made the improvements in his striking to deal with somebody like that. And we're going to find out really quick. We're going to find out the first 45 seconds of that fight where the stand-up exchanges are going to fall. But that's such a great matchup.
People are saying Mr. Boy, Masvidal Vicente would be a good matchup. Pretty good money fight for both those guys. A role for Luque with Masvidal across the octagon from him. But he'd have to fight down in the rankings. It's funny to see a guy who his last fight was for a title and now he's ranked number 7. That's kind of weird.
Well, he shouldn't have got that title fight. He was not a contender to get it, and he only got it because the champion decided to grant him a rematch. But yeah, that's a money fight. I mean, I guess it just depends on what the UFC wants to do. What's crazy is I don't think Luque has a big enough name to where a Masvidal fight is a money fight for him. I think that Masvidal would want a better name. If we're just talking about a money fight with no implications in the division or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of shit that could be done after these fight cards. But hey, yeah, let the chat tell us what you think. I mean, that's what they're doing, right? Telling us who they think Luque should fight next.
Yeah, and Masvidal's last 2 fights have been title fights. I mean, after the Diaz BMF fight, he's only fought Usman for the title, and he's all the way. It's weird that he's down at number 7. It just sometimes the rankings don't make sense to me.
I don't know why he was ever above 7 to begin with.
Well, he beats Diaz for the BMF, but the Ben Askren, Darren Till was a great win at the time. Askren was a knockout heard around the world, and then he ends up with Nate Diaz in the Garden in the BMF. Yeah,
you're right. Ranked guys. I mean, that's the.
You're right.
I love Masvidal. I love freaking Masvidal. And I agree with I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand it, but I don't think he should have had the title fight. I think that he beat Nate Diaz, and he was such a popular figure and such a search engine result, and it was such a big money fight that he got the title fight. And then he lost it, and then Usman, I don't know why the hell, wanted to run that back, but he ran it back, and then now, I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't think that the win over Diaz matters as much as it used to. But the Till win was good, and Askren at the time, it was kind of, it was that was a big win too. I mean, that was a big win. I mean, honestly, the knockout over Askren put Jorge Masvidal in a stardom that he hadn't enjoyed before, and then the win over Nate Diaz shot him into superstardom, and that's why he got the title fight.
Yeah, and The Rock with the BMF.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know about the. I'd have to look at those damn rankings and see where he even fits in there.
He's at 7. So Marco Rodriguez says Masvidal sucks. Too hyped up just because he got a flying knee against Askren, who blows. Got knocked out. His record is not impressive at all. I mean, that's a little tough to be on. I think his record's very impressive. He's been fighting forever. Masvidal. I mean, that's a little harsh if you ask me. But I don't know, man. I mean, when you look at the rankings, Jeff, he's 7. I'm going to read you the fighters ahead of him, and you tell me if he belongs ahead of any of them, okay?
Okay.
Because behind Masvidal is Magny, Bilal Muhammad, Jeff Neal, Damian Maia. I don't think anybody's going to argue that Street Jesus is better than any of those guys. But above him, you got Vicente Luque, Michael Chiesa, who now will be below him, Stephen Thompson, Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman. It's just really a matter of the division just being freaking stacked, man. It's stacked at the top, welterweight.
Yeah, it's stacked. Let me look at because Chiesa has beaten Magny and he's beaten RDA. He's beaten, the Diego doesn't matter, and nor does the Condit.
No, not anymore.
And then you go back. I mean, it does, but not really whenever what we're talking about. Does it get you ranked higher than Masvidal? What I'm trying to figure out is, does Chiesa drop below Masvidal or does he stay in front of him? That's what I'm looking at. And so I don't know because Masvidal's last 2 fights were to the champion. His 2 losses, and Askren was ranked at the time. Where is Till ranked right now?
I have a hard time that Masvidal's behind Chiesa and Luque, although Luque's on a roll. RDA's back down at 155, and who were you? Oh, Darren Till. Darren Till's at 185. He's 7th at 185. He went to 185 after that Masvidal fight, and now he's number 7 there, and he's headlining against Brunson coming up later next month. Darren Till. I think it's 3 fight cards from now. Darren Till and Derek Brunson, that's going to be, I mean, Brunson's winning again. Man. That division, all of a sudden, you got Costa and Vettori coming up. You got Brunson and Darren Till coming up. You got Gastelum and Cannonier coming up. Some pretty good fights coming up at 185 also.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Masvidal's...
Oh, Sean Strickland and Luke Rockhold. How do we forget that? How did I forget that, Jeff? Strickland, who just... with a really impressive win last week over Uriah Hall, now he gets Luke Rockhold, and Luke Rockhold doesn't like him. Surprise, surprise. Elitist himself, Luke Rockhold, doesn't like someone.
Imagine that. Now, Luke, why don't you try to find somebody that likes you?
Gee, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Oh, my God, I tried to...
It's hard to say because Masvidal is 4-3 or 3-4 in his last 7 fights. It's just hard to say, man. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. That division drops off after 5.
It does. It's a freaking cliff, dude. It's amazing the top 5, but then it's a cliff. It's you need a flight suit.
That division's Yeah, so I don't know if I.
What do those guys wear? The base jumpers? What are those things? You need those human wings that they put on to get off that cliff.
What is Michael Chiesa against Masvidal. There you go. Do Chiesa against Masvidal. See how that works out.
Oh, interesting. You know what, Luque or Chiesa, I mean, I want to see Masvidal stand and trade. I would like to see him fight Nick Diaz too, but I don't know, man. That Covington and Kamaru coming up. Who's got anything for Gilbert Burns? Maybe he was a little bit overwhelmed in the moment against Kamaru, but I believe he and Colby, man, those are 2 legit challengers. And Masvidal, I mean, you can never count him out. He's a veteran. He's seen everything. He's done it all in there. You know, it's nice for him to have that run after the career that he had. He was, and I want to say he's a journeyman, a veteran who fought everyone. Yeah. You name him, he fought him over the years. Yeah. Lost a lot of tough ones, won a lot of tough ones, but. I mean, Masvidal is definitely no journeyman. He's an elite fighter, world class, but is he a champion? That's the question. No, he's not a champion, but 99% of the fighters that ever get in the octagon are not champions, you know, and people tend to forget that. It's very rare, but people tend to be elitist and say, hey, if you're not a champ or a number 1 contender, then you're not that great, which is, you and I know, is bullshit. It's not true at all, but people tend to fall in love with the belts and only the belts, you know?
Yeah. I think Masvidal was in his prime a few years ago. You know, and that's terrible for me to say that, but that's how I feel about him. And look, Masvidal's been around for a long time. And Masvidal's
he's older, man. He's late 30s.
Yeah, he is a dog too. I know that Usman slept him and made it look easy. Nobody's been able to do that to Masvidal really before, though. He's a tough fight for everybody. It's just now that he's older, later in his career, I'm glad that he got to cash in. He got to cash in big. Thank
Yeah,
you,
I was just gonna say that.
Askren.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you, Nate Diaz, and thank you, Kamaru Usman.
Poor Ben Askren, man. Ben Askren's a star maker, Jeff.
100%. You land a flying knee in 4 or 5 seconds, man, you're going to be a star. Then Jake
Paul.
I don't know that he gets close. Yeah, I don't think that Masvidal. Now that I'm glad you threw Jake Paul in there because that's exactly what Masvidal should do.
No, he needs to fight Jake Paul.
He needs to go.
I don't think Jake Paul takes that fight. He's not going to. Jake Paul's not going to take that fight because Masvidal is too. Could be very close to Jake Paul. White said who are not guys who are 40 years old and haven't won a fight in 3 years. Jake Paul selecting his opponents a la Floyd Mayweather. Perfect timing. Speaking of which, you got Aldo and Munoz in the cage, and Aldo's got a 5-inch reach. I didn't realize that, Jeff. It's a big reach advantage.
Well, there's a big reach advantage. I'm just saying that I think Street Jesus could make more money. Let's just say Jake Paul knocks out Woodley. Masvidal would be a good one. Masvidal would be a good one for Paul to pick because when you look at the other people, it's like maybe that's your best poison. Maybe that's the guy you pick versus the 30-year-old or the 25-year-old star. I don't know, man, but I do think that Masvidal could have a big future in boxing because look, it's not as grueling on you.
Big money wise, though. Money wise, not.
Yeah, not wins and all that. Yeah, money-wise. So only because, he's got street cred. He's got the damn videos where he was fighting people 3 times his size with Kimbo in backyards in Florida years the frig ago. And he's got this long career in the UFC. Yeah, and he's tough. And he's older now. And boxing training is not as hard on you or on the body as MMA training or wrestling training or whatever. And so I think that might actually be a smart move for Masvidal to make if he can't get a big fight in the UFC, because right now I think he's at the point of his career. He wants a Diaz again. He wants a huge fight, a Conor, which
I was going to say Conor's the one. Yeah, if Conor loses one more fight at 55, then I'd love to see him fight Masvidal. I'd love to see him fight Nick. I'd love to see him fight Nate again.
I'll say this, Conor, whenever your foot and your ankle gets healed up, come back and call out Masvidal because he's not going to try to take you down. He will stand there and trade with you.
He will stand there and trade. Think about this, though. Think about the entertainment value alone of the 2 Diaz brothers, Masvidal and McGregor, just fighting each other for the next 2 years. That'd be great. Meanwhile, this fight started, Jeff. Nick's going to have a field day of the jiu-jitsu of Nick Diaz. Twist Conor up into oh my God.
Yeah, he's way bigger. I mean, Nick to me is a natural middleweight. I mean, he's a big welterweight who I feel is probably a natural middleweight. And so it's not fair for him to be beating up on Conor and beating up on people. But Masvidal on him, that's close to the same weight class. That's also a fight. There's fights for Masvidal in MMA. I just think that he might, if he could get that Jake Paul fight after Woodley, he could cash in big.
What if Jake Paul beats Woodley and Masvidal back to back?
Then it's time for it's time for. I'm trying to think of who, because you can't send a champion. But I think that Jake Paul's is
200.
I think,
remember that.
Yeah, I think Jake Paul's incredibly smart in his calling out people. Now I think Woodley could be a little bit more than you can chew, but we're going to see. Maybe not. I don't know. But I feel like he could call out Robbie Lawler, who's a former welterweight champion who likes to box, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh my God, Robbie's going to knock him out." Probably won't. And then there's the Masvidal fight. I mean, I think that Jake Paul actually is one of the smarter people in combat sports right now because he's lined this shit out. What he can't afford to do is lose. He cannot afford to lose. If he loses to Woodley, everything's done.
He loses once, it's over.
Yeah, but if he doesn't, he's got a string of like 4 or 5 older fighters, as Dana White would put it, and he put it worse than that. but fighters past their prime, older fighters who are on losing streaks, who are wanting to make a big payday and have a really big name in MMA, like your Robbie Lawlers and you know, of that era and of that age group, and Jake Paul might be able to beat those guys, man. He might make them look bad, even. I don't know.
Oh, nice body shot by Aldo.
Where we're going to find out.
Where we're going to find out. I'm sitting here watching Munoz and Aldo go at Aldo's so technically sound. Good body shots from Aldo, but you know they're the same age. It's bizarre when you think of Aldo and Munoz being the same age.
That's what I said
34.
about Nogueira in Pride. I thought Nogueira in Pride was like 45 years old. He was like 25. Aldo, he's 34 years old now, but because he's had such a long career, I feel like he's 50, and he's not.
Yeah, he's not. There's some of his last fight. I believe that's the Jimmy Rivera fight. Munoz, we did that one recently. That's his last win. He's lost to Edgar, which was a tough split decision loss. A lot of people thought beat him. Unanimous decision in June of 2019 at UFC 238. Before that, it was 3 wins in a row, highlighted by a knockout of Cody Garbrandt, where he took a lot of punishment. He also has a submission win over Rob Font, who's at the top of the division, and that was back in 2017. So some good wins for Munoz. He's got a hell of a chin. He's got a lot of power, knockout power, and he can take a beating. So this is not going to be an easy fight for Aldo. He's got 5 wins by knockout, 8 by submission. His jiu-jitsu's on point. Meanwhile, I mean, what can you say about Jose Aldo? He's a legend, Jeff. Former 2-time champion at 145, black belt in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? He's one of those Vaiatudo fighters. He's definitely, you know, he's been fighting from the day he was born. He's an unbelievable champion and legend in the sport, coming off the win over Tito Vera. That broke a 3-fight losing streak to Volkanovski, Moraes, and Petr Yan.
Yeah. I mean, Aldo changed the game. You know, there were leg kicks before Aldo came into the sport, and then there's leg kicks after Aldo. And I don't want to dog like Thiago Alves, because there were some good leg kickers before Aldo. You know, but Aldo changed everything. You know, he's beating people on leg kicks alone. I think that Aldo changed the game, man. Or especially in the lower weight classes, on what it takes and what's expected of you if you're going to hold a belt. Aldo, there's just no holes in Aldo's game when he was in his prime. There aren't any. Even now that he's older, there aren't much holes in his game. Either you catch him or you don't.
Here's a trivia question for you. Who did Jose Aldo beat to win his first WEC featherweight championship? And it was all the way back at WEC for Mike Brown.
You want to know something crazy, Jim? I have WEC gloves right there. I have WEC gloves on my wall signed by Mike Brown.
Mike Brown is a great coach, but he was a terrific fighter. I mean, he fought for the title against Aldo. Think about that. And then Faber, what Aldo did to Faber's legs. He was the champion, Mike Brown. Yep.
Yeah, he was the champion. And then, I mean, he's the one that kind of put Aldo on his rise. You know, that it was that win that everybody was like, holy shit, who's Jose Aldo? What he did to Uriah Faber. Those were good. Those were great years, man. Now, Mike Brown, great coach.
Go ahead, Jeff.
American Top
Great
Team.
coach. No, I was going to say about American Top Team. I used to play softball in Florida when I lived there. I lived in Miami and Fort Lauderdale for 12 years. I was living in Fort Lauderdale playing softball in Margate, and we were sponsored by this bar called All Stars. And all the guys who owned this bar and hung out at this bar were the American Top Team guys. And it's when Mike Brown was coming up. So all the fighters would be in there. The owner, Dan Lambert, you know, they would all be at this bar after our softball games, and we would talk MMA. I mean, that seems like yesterday, but we're talking 2005, 2006, 2007. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, Mike Brown. Yeah, he wasn't a coach then. He was just he was just trying to get a fight. Man, WEC days, man. Sadly, those guys competing in the WEC are their expiration dates getting near as far as in the sport. The Aldos, the Faber's already gone. You know, Carlos Condit's got 1 foot out the door. Donald Cerrone's at the tail end of his career. You know, Showtime Pettis is out.
Diego Sanchez,
And so those WEC days, man, that WEC never die. Melissa, that's for you if she's watching. I doubt she is, but she may be. She used to work for the WEC and the UFC and the bull riding tour. What is that called? The PBR.
PBR.
Those guys are freaking crazy, dude. I don't
don't
know
want
if
to
you've
ride a
ever met
bull.
those guys. Have you ever met those guys? And like, I
No.
had a chance to meet and hang out
The
with
rodeo
like these.
guys? No.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm in Nashville. They do a thing in Nashville, right? Some event. I don't go to it because I don't know what the hell's going on. But we all end up going to this place where all of these bull riders are there. They're in their big belt buckles and cowboy hats and the whole fucking nine. And I'm talking to these dudes, man. And first of all, half of them are addicted to pain pills, and that's how they get through with it. The other half are the ones that win titles. So that's kind of the way the landscape of it. Whenever I was there, you have like half of them that are just field fillers who are all jacked up. Their bodies are destroyed, and they're all on pain pills and heavy drinkers. And then you have these younger group of guys who are the ones that are winning the championships, who will soon be this group of guys. It's
Wow.
weird, but they're crazy as shit, man. They are crazy as shit. How do you get on a
Crazy.
bull and ride it? 8 seconds, my ass. That's crazy.
You got to be insane, almost as insane or just as insane as someone taking punches and kicks in the middle of a cage.
Yeah. Yeah, that to me, that sport's just crazy.
Look at Aldo
Ooh.
there. Look at the hair on Aldo. Look at the young Jose Aldo. That's the MMA Weekly vault at its finest right there. Aldo not throwing a ton of leg kicks in this fight. He is throwing a lot of body shots at Munoz.
Yeah. He always has. Yeah, there's Ed Soares right there, who was his manager and then his translator at the time. Now he's a fight promoter for LFA.
Yeah, he's done a lot with Machida too. I mean, he's had a lot of big time fighters.
Yeah, Anderson. I mean, yeah. I used to call him the enforcer when the UFC wanted a division to be gone. When Rich Franklin had won too many fights in a row and they didn't want him to win again, or his contract was going to be outrageous, they called Ed Soares, and he sent in Anderson. And whenever Machida, the same thing. He was at that time, man. He was the enforcer. He had Anderson, Machida, and Aldo, under his stable. That's freaking crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, and Aldo, interesting trivia thing is Aldo didn't have to win the UFC title. He was presented the UFC belt like Ronda was. He was just crowned
coming in from WEC when they bought it, when Zuffa bought it.
Yep.
Yeah. Benson too, no?
I don't remember if the lightweight champion was that, because I think BJ Penn was the lightweight champion at the time. I don't remember, man. I don't remember, but yeah,
I just remember those wars, man. Cowboy Cerrone, Benson Henderson, Jamie Varner, Brad Pickett, right? I mean, there was some. Yeah.
Yeah, and the WEC, freaking crazy wars, man. Crazy fights. I mean, that's where all those guys came up, all the lighter weight classes. The Benavidez's. He's still around. There's one. But also at the tail end or the latter part of his career. I mean, he could still have some years left. But
the blue cage, man. I love the blue cage, Jeff.
Yeah. So WEC days, man, those were great days. And here's Aldo.
That was the one bad thing about Pride to me. The one bad thing about Pride was it was a ring, not a cage.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I like the philosophy of it because the cage gives wrestlers such an advantage, right?
Yeah,
stops my momentum. I can't go anywhere. And so while the logistics of the ring is terrible with people falling between the ropes and all of that shit, it's terrible. And guys on the side of the apron pushing you back in, I'm not saying that was better, but I understood why they did it, and that was at a time when, I mean, I don't know if people remember this, but there used to be all kinds of dumbass promotions come together. There was like one that had a bowl where they were fighting a friggin' bowl. And then the other ones, they were like a half a bowl and a cage on one side.
It's crazy. I did an M1 USA, M1 Global USA. I called pay-per-view on UFC Fight Pass last year in January in Florida. Mike Lombardo, the main event. Jose Casero, the last guy to beat Kamaru Usman, the only guy to beat Kamaru Usman. His brother Alex is in the UFC, and Mike the Don Lombardo has fought on the Contender Series, LFA. They were the main event. Well, anyway, Mike Merriman, who runs M1 Global USA, not M1 Global, but M1 Global USA, the difference. He did a ring, Jeff, that was shaped kind of like, I don't remember if it was an octagon or a hexagon, whatever the hell it was, but the bottom, from the bottom rope to the apron, was chicken wire. So he put chicken wire from the bottom rope to the floor, and I'm like, man, so you got chicken wire down there to prevent people from falling out. It wasn't that sturdy. It was an interesting setup, to say the least.
It is an interesting setup. I don't know, man. I mean, like I
Oof.
said, it's been a while. I've actually talked to promoters who are trying to do new things, and given them my opinion on what would be the best surface. The cage does great. The cage does great. There was the idea of plexiglass instead of the cage, but the fighters getting up next to it makes it impossible to see. It just becomes smeared and sweaty mess, and you can't even see in the damn thing. So that was
Can't
taken
see
away.
it. Yep.
Yeah, and the cage obstructs view as well. What I like is an open surface, like a humongous, like gymnastics friggin' floor, and
Oh,
let the
okay,
fight
okay.
play
Like
out
a
there.
wrestling meet, like the wrestling mats.
Yeah, but you get the whole floor, right? You can
The
move
whole
where
floor.
you want to, but I don't know how to remedy the out of bounds situations, right? Because I could just run from you out of bounds. Well, what happens if I keep doing that? I mean, how So you got to
You got to
like
take
devise a
points.
whole. I know you got to devise a whole rule system, and so the cage is what it is. It's the best. It's the best thing that we
The
got.
cage is what makes it more primal, right? And
Yeah,
primitive. I mean,
That's
I
why
like
he
that.
picked the cage. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
it's like
Davey
the
did it.
Roman
Yeah.
Coliseum, man versus beast. But meanwhile, Jeff, Munoz and Aldo, great show of sportsmanship. They hug it out in the center of the octagon to start round 3. Aldo hit some big shots to the body in round 2. Doesn't look like they had much of an effect on Munoz. He's
Oh
throwing a lot of
shit!
head kicks and spinning kicks, and this is a fun fight
Aldo's
to watch,
hands
man.
look great here late in
Yeah,
this
they
fight.
do. They do. How much time do you have left? Where are you at?
Dude, I got 4 minutes and 10 seconds.
I got 350, 1,
Okay.
350 right now.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm a
that's
little
fine.
ahead of you.
Yeah, it's fine. Aldo looks good. He looks fresh in the third round.
Yeah, I'd have him on the cards. I'd have Aldo up on the cards right now. I don't know how you feel, but I have Aldo up.
I yeah, I mean, I don't know. But every time I look, it seems like Aldo's the one doing something. He's the one putting together combinations, going to the body, landing a little bit of leg kicks. There was one. Well, I'm behind you. They
Aldo's starting to outclass him. He's starting to outclass him now, Jeff. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
double jab by Aldo. Nice.
yeah.
Double jab connected on both.
But going to the body is one of my favorite things Aldo does. I think it's largely underrated in MMA. But you're starting to see some guys do it effectively and do it a lot. And Aldo's been one of the guys that's always done it in his career.
Oh, his hands,
I
though,
tell
and
you,
that 5-inch reach advantage, Jeff, he's starting to really connect.
yeah. Well, you can just feel that he's feeling it, right? He's in there. He's feeling it. I tell you who likes to go
Aldo,
to
he
the
looks
body a
crisp in
lot.
there tonight.
Yeah, who likes to go to the body a lot is Gaethje as well. And Poirier.
Yeah.
But there, like I said, there's not a lot of people that dig to the body like Aldo does, man. Aldo's done it his whole career.
Gaethje
Get
and
your
Chandler
hands
coming
down.
up.
Yeah. That's going to be a crazy ass fight.
Gaethje saying, I don't like you. For some reason, I don't like you. Oh, Aldo just kicked his leg out. He's kicked him so many times in that lead leg. It's like Barbosa. It's pulverized. And he knocked him down with that last one. Munoz is hobbling. This is all Aldo. What a vintage turn back the clock, pick you apart, Jose Aldo.
This is a beautiful Aldo. Aldo looks like a different fighter than he has recently. Did he get clipped?
Yeah, Munoz is definitely a tough out. We saw in the Garbrandt fight. He's got a chin, and he just popped Aldo a couple times. But Aldo's in complete control of this fight.
Yeah. You just got to watch, Aldo's just got to watch getting clipped. I'm sort of, that's one of the big regrets not one of my personal regrets because I have nothing to do with it. But I really wish that they would have ran back Aldo and McGregor the way that it happened and Aldo's dominance, heading into that fight. I just felt like he deserved a rematch. If any champion in the history of the sport ever deserved an immediate rematch after a one-hitter quitter, it was Jose Aldo, and he never got it.
Never got it because Conor never stayed there.
No.
Conor bounced, and he went and got the 55 belt, and he never defended that either. That was crazy how Conor never defended either one.
No, his legacy is going to reflect that. But I don't think I think what's weird thing about Conor is only now in his career is he thinking about legacy. Before he was just thinking about stardom, the biggest fights I can get, and money. He did all of that. But now looking back on it, there's going to be asterisks in his career. There's going to be he never defended his title. And so then people are going to quote Matt Hughes and say, you're not a champion until you defend your title. And so He's going to have that. I don't subscribe to that. You're a champion when you beat the champion. But I understand what Matt Hughes is saying. it's easy. It's like that saying. It's one thing to get to the top, and it's another thing to stay there. Staying there is a hell of a lot harder than it is getting there.
Yeah, and Munoz only has 9 significant strikes in round 3. Jeff, Aldo's really putting on a clinic here. And whoever in the chat putting Aldo versus Sean O'Malley, can you please stop? If anyone likes Sean O'Malley, they're going to say that I'm picking on him. O'Malley's not going to like when I say this, but let the guy be in the damn top 15. Why does everybody put O'Malley's name against everyone? God, that bugs me. I don't know why. It just bugs the shit out of me, Jeff. There, I said it.
Well, yeah, now's not the time. Aldo's ranked too high for O'Malley to fight right now. Now, look, in the future, whenever O'Malley gets a couple of fights and he's ranked 11th or 9th or something, then Aldo would be a great fight because it's a good pushover. If O'Malley beats Aldo, you beat a legend. All of a sudden, O'Malley's in the top 5 and on the cusp of getting title fights and everything. But right now, O'Malley doesn't deserve to fight Jose Aldo. That's as simple as that.
No. How about Dominic Cruz versus Jose Aldo?
That's the fight that needs to happen.
How about Dominic
Legend
versus Aldo? There's a fight that I would.
The greatest featherweight against the. Oh, I want to see Cruz and Aldo because I think that's a good fight for both of them. It's the greatest bantamweight, the greatest featherweight champions, and they're both older in their careers. It's just a fight that's beautiful to have happen, But yeah, I'm not dogging Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley's the future star. There's no question. If he keeps his shit together,
I don't want to dog him either, but stop with the Sean O'Malley versus everyone crap now because they're all at the top of the division and he's not ranked. Stop.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, O'Malley, he's a star. Look, nobody's going to – I'd be crazy not to say that I don't think he's going to be a star and that he's a future fighter that's going to have – huge success and big time followers, but he's not there yet, man. He's not that.
Cruz is old news. Do you think Dominic Cruz is old news? I mean, if you're saying Cruz is old news, you'd have to say Aldo and Edgar are old news too.
Well, I can tell you what. At least they were news. The only news for Sean O'Malley is I complain and say I'm undefeated when I've lost. So slow your roll on that, man. At least they were news. Sean O'Malley is news.
O'Malley versus Jesus Christ. This guy Anthony Garcia doesn't like me. He says me having no hair bugs him. Sorry, dude. Bald and sexy all the way. And he says he told Jeff to lend me some hair. So Jeff, you get a haircut, man. Maybe you could donate to me. I wouldn't feel right taking it. I don't have cancer.
I think I am getting a haircut tomorrow, man. I can't take it. It's fucking too hot.
Plug it in there and give me that Caniac style. What would I look like with that free-flowing long hair everywhere? I haven't had that since 8th grade, Jeff, when I wore my Aussie shirts to school every day with my hair halfway down my back and I pierced my own ear.
Yeah. And look, this is a thing. And look, first of all, thank you for showing up in the chat, everybody, man. We love you guys.
We love you. Yes, we love you.
And look, and you have your First Amendment rights. You can dog who the hell you want to and cheer on who the hell you want. I think that's fine.
Jeff he likes you. That's why. Jeff is awesome, he just wrote.
Yeah. But, you don't have to dog. I'll say this. You don't have to discredit people to build other people. We don't have to discredit Jose Aldo's dominance or Dominic Cruz's greatness to build up Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley's going to do that on his own. That's the only thing I'm going to say is you don't have to criticize other people to build up another guy. If O'Malley's legit, he's going to do it on his own. And we get to sit back for the ride and watch his colorful hair lay some ass whippings out or fall short. We're going to see. I like O'Malley, man. I think O'Malley's good for the sport. I think he says I would pull him off of that podcast, just because of sponsorships and everything that I don't think he has a good judgment of when he should stop talking and when he should talk. But that might be why people like him, but as far as like, if I were advising him on his career, man, if you like sponsors and you like money, maybe pull back on that podcast.
Maybe a little bit, but it's a new world, and he's doing really well in it. And he's got that group with Kyler Phillips and Casey Kenny. They took 2 L's in a row. Phillips lost last week, Kenny lost this week, and he lost to Cruz before that. So they got to win some fights coming out of the MMA lab. But O'Malley definitely with that injury, that didn't do him any favors. And without that injury, that's one thing that derailed him a little bit. But a loss is a loss, and an injury is an injury, and it happens, man. It happened to Connor. It happened to Weidman. O'Malley it happens, right? You're going to lose a fight here and there because of an injury. But I really feel like when I look at that division, Jeff, it's the most loaded division in the UFC. Do you agree? Bantamweight. I mean, with Jan and Sterling at the top, and Dillashaw, Cruz, Edgar, Aldo. I mean, those are legends. And then you got Font, Sanhagen. I mean, that division, and Marias, don't forget him. And then, of course, looming on the edge in retirement, Triple C Henry Cejudo. You know, I mean, that could potentially, I mean, think of Henry coming back at the top of that division at some point.
Yeah, they need it. I don't think we're going to see Henry come back unless there's a crazy big fight comes his way. Yeah, no, that division. You know, we talked about the welterweight division where at like number 5 it drops off like a cliff. That division, there's not a hell of a lot of drop off till you get way down in the top 10.
Where? Yeah, where is the drop off?
Yeah,
11.
I don't know. After a Sunsao, maybe. Where's he at?
Chito Vic. Yep, and no O'Malley in the top 15. Kyler Phillips just lost, which was, it looked like he won that fight. But man, that division, 135.
Yeah, O'Malley, his opponent pulled out, and the kid with the green hair came in and had the great performance, but lost. Who was O'Malley supposed to fight on that fight card?
A Sunsao, wasn't it? A Sunsao?
Was it?
I think it was a Sunsao, because that would have gotten O'Malley ranked.
That would have got him ranked. Yeah, that's where I was going with that, Jim.
And I like O'Malley too. I'm just for the record, I'm not ripping on O'Malley at all. I'm just saying he's up on the top 5 fights for him until he's ranked.
I'm not
Give him a
ripping
chance.
Yeah, I like.
No, you're not ripping on him either.
I like O'Malley's style, man. I think that guy has endless potential in the sport. I just hope he keeps his head on straight and does it. You know.
Yep.
I mean, people look. I don't really have a dog in any of these fights. You know, whenever people would say, "Who are you fans of?" Man, I'm not really a fan of anybody. You know, I have some people that I like to watch fight. You know, I don't think that makes me necessarily a fan. I mean, but I'm not going to turn the TV if they're on. Or there are some fights, man, that I could care less. You know, well, yeah, I could care less if I saw that or not. So I don't really have a dog in the fight. I'm not anti anybody. I mean, anti Conor sometimes because of his actions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't care if Conor wins or loses inside the octagon. I just wish that he was a little more kind outside of the octagon. But honestly, if you're not Khabib, maybe Conor isn't such a bad guy. He does do a bunch of charitable stuff. But yeah, he said some. You know, Conor's just going through a friggin' time right now that he's.
Did you see what Khabib said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see what? Oh, they're just showing Derrick Lewis's.
Yeah, I mean, I like Khabib, man, because Khabib's so honest, right?
Did you hear what he said on Mike Tyson's hot boxing with Henry Cejudo and Khabib about? He says he thinks Conor sits around and gets drunk and tweets, and then he wakes up sober, realizes what he tweeted, and deleted it. He goes, "This is what I think he do."
And he might be right.
I love Khabib.
He absolutely might. Yeah, he might be right.
Khabib's English. I think we should change all of our English to sound like Khabib's English. What do you guys think in the chat? I love Khabib's English. For some reason, I can't stop listening to him speaking English. I love it.
Khabib's a good dude, man. And McGregor.
This is what I think he do, you know?
Apology, you know? That's
that was too much, man.
You know, that's what's crazy.
Then he doubles down on it. He doubles down on it and comes back at his kids. When have you seen your kids? You're not even with your kids. Like, I'm going to eat his kids, like taking a shot at Mike Tyson. Conor is always selling, number one. But I also think part of him, like if you hung out with him in Dublin and he wasn't famous, he would be just like this. He'd be the one starting shit with everyone at the bar.
I won't argue with that. Look, I think Conor's having a hard time. His ego's having a hard time dealing with there are better fighters and that you are expendable.
Yeah, anyone.
Yeah, and I think he's just having a hard time dealing with that, man. Look, in the long run, that's what the thing that kills me with Conor is that Conor has all this money. Conor does charitable things. He does do a lot of things.
Does a lot of good in the world.
Yeah, but he owes Khabib an apology on multiple levels, man, and that's the end of it. I mean, that's the end of it, man. Whenever you start going after somebody's deceased father and his wife and his kids and his religion, what is more personal than that? What is more personal than that? You might as well walk up to Khabib and kick him square in the fucking balls, you know, and spit in his face. That's basically what you've done.
And Khabib handled it so well. He's a classy dude. He handled it really well. And
Conor's better than that, man.
But he is better
than that.
And he's trying to get Khabib. He's trying to get Khabib to fight him. He wants Khabib to come back and get him one more. You know what I mean? I get it. But at the same time, Khabib would kill him. Khabib would tear him apart.
Yeah. But what kills me about that, though, is he waited 2 weeks to respond to the good and evil comment. You know, so it stewed for a while. That wasn't an impulse thing. And I don't know, man. Like I said, that's what it is with being Conor. I don't care what Conor does, man. Conor can drive his yacht off into the fucking galaxy, man, for all I care. Or he can stay and fight. Either way, I make the same, you know. Either way, I make the same, and either way,
be a little different. The headlines will be a little different. And speaking of headlines, Derrick Lewis and Ciryl Gane, the main event about to get started here. UFC 265 on MMA Weekly, the most trusted source of news and information in mixed martial arts for almost 20 years. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, along with Jeff, the Caniac Cain, in the building tonight, and we are ecstatic for this. Whether we think it should be an interim title fight or not, the fact that it's a 5-rounder with these two guys at heavyweight, Jeff, to me, a 5-round heavyweight title fight is like a Game 7. And if you've watched the Game 7 or the gold medal game in men's basketball that I just watched last night with Kevin Durant proving once again he's the best player in the world, and Team USA barely beats France to win the gold, the rest of the world's caught up, right? Well, France has never had a UFC champion. Ciryl Gane could be there tonight. You got Izzy out of New Zealand with Volkanovski out of New Zealand. You've had champions from all over the world, Africa, China now. The UFC is taking over on a global level. And with Ngannou sitting there with the belt from Africa by way of France, and now he's training in Vegas. And you got Ciryl Gane, his former training partner, coming out of France, taking on Derrick Lewis in his own backyard of Houston, Texas, in a 5-round fight. Look at Ciryl Gane, so quick, so lean, so athletic. His tank goes. The only heavyweight I can think of with a better cardio than Gane was Cain Velasquez, Cardio Cain. Gane's cardio is for days. He's much better equipped to handle a 5-round fight. But as you mentioned earlier in the show, Jeff, Derrick Lewis has a way of conserving just enough energy for when he needs it. Just enough. Somehow, somewhere, he pulls it out of that giant frame, and he has it. He's got a big-time weight advantage. Gane's got the height advantage, which is rare against Derrick Lewis. Only Volkov did before this. So this is exciting, man. Derrick Lewis about to make the walk in his hometown. Here's a guy who went to jail for 3 years. George Foreman found him. He started boxing. I love stories like the story of Derrick Lewis, man, and he's going to make his walk to the octagon right now.
Okay, I agree with you, Jim, and I wish I would have cued you before you gave that beautifully eloquent rant about this main event, because I have to go to the bathroom, dude. I am about to die over here to go to the bathroom, and maybe it's because this fight is a big fight. And
do it now, Jeff. Do it now.
I'm going now.
Derrick Lewis takes a long time to walk to the octagon, Jeff. You got a minute
I'll
here.
be right back.
You got a minute. Look at the Black Beast coming out of the tunnel in his home city in the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. I've been there. I was there for Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos 3, the trilogy fight, when Cain Velasquez's head hit the octagon fence and the fence dislodged from the freaking floor. The only time I've ever seen that was Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos. Derrick Lewis and Ciryl Gane, right? Derrick Lewis, the boxer, the dynamite in the right hand. Underrated, defensive, especially grappling. Almost impossible to choke. DC did it. No one else has. He's huge. He's got a ton of power. He's great at conserving his energy, and he's good at going the distance. I hear the bathroom door creaking in the Cain house, the Cain studio in Kentucky. But Derrick Lewis, look at this crowd, man. What a moment for him. All week long, he talked about how he's nervous. All week long, he talked about how this is a big moment for him. Is Ciryl Gane seemingly unfazed by his moment at 9-0 right now, and it's definitely a tale of two different styles, like always in the octagon. But this fight, man, when you look at Derrick Lewis versus Ciryl Gane's a Muay Thai fighter from France, right? He fought Muay Thai before MMA. He was 13-0 in Muay Thai. He's 9-0 in MMA, and I'm no math major, and I didn't go to Harvard, Jeff Cain, but when you're undefeated in those two young, he's just hitting his prime at 31, but he's young for the sport. He hasn't taken the abuse. He hasn't put his body through the wear and tear for as long as most of these guys has. Ciryl Gane, Bongamin, from France at 6'5", 247 pounds, a freak of an athlete at heavyweight. Derrick Lewis, not a bad athlete himself, but you look at his MMA record. This dude has fought a ton of times. He's 25-7 with 20 knockouts. He's got the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history with 12. He's tied with Vitor Belfort and someone else, maybe Matt Brown, but with Vitor Belfort, he says that he's been clean his whole career, so he considers himself the legitimate record holder. He's right about to enter the cage right now. But Derrick Lewis, his last 4 have been 2 decisions and 2 TKOs. His last time out against Curtis Blades was the shot heard around the world when he stepped back from a takedown attempt, came up with an uppercut, turned his lights out, couple of big shots on the ground for good measure. Before that, he TKO'd Alexei Olenek in round number 2, 21 seconds of round number 2 in Vegas. The Black Beast with a well-earned nickname, looking to become the all-time undisputed knockout champ and the interim heavyweight champ here tonight. And it should be noted, this is his second UFC title fight. Remember, he lost to Daniel Cormier at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in big fights, but it's as he's brought up and you brought up in the pre-show, is that fighting in front of your hometown is a different element of pressure. And maybe he hasn't felt that before. For Ciryl, it's weird because he seems like he feels no pressure, as you pointed out. He seems to be in good spirits, lighthearted, singing, dancing and stuff, joking, cracking jokes and everything. He looks, I mean, for the lead up to this fight, Ciryl Gane looks to be in the perfect place, right? Looks to be in the absolute perfect place. We're going to see if he can pull off 25 minutes of doing what he does without getting clipped. But I will say this, while I say Ciryl Gane doesn't have knockout power, I'm judging that on fights against strikers, and particularly his last 2 fights. He has devastating elbows on the inside. Devastating elbows.
And he's been in and out so much he didn't stay in the pocket against either one of those guys, Jeff, but I can't see him standing in the pocket at all against Derrick Lewis either. He's going to be in and out just like he was against Rosenstruik, and Volkov had such a reach on him, he had to get in and out. So he did exactly what he needed to do, but he did TKO Junior Dos Santos, and that's the only UFC fight where he's got that knockout. But it's interesting, the people who have beaten Derrick Lewis, when you look at the people who have defeated the Black Beast, Matt Mitrione and Sean Jordan both knocked him out, and that's a different era. That's 2014-15. Mark Hunt, TKO. Cormier submission, Junior Dos Santos, TKO. When he loses by finish. But he has won a lot of decisions. Derrick Lewis, though, he has gone into the 4th round against Mark Hunt. He got exhausted in that fight. He went to the 4th round against Shamil Abdurakhimov, and that was in 2016. So he was in the 4th round in 2 fights. But other than that, he hasn't been there. And Ciryl Gane's just green. I mean, he's barely been here. But he has gone his last 2 fights 5 rounds, the distance. So the longer it goes, the more it favors Gane, except for the fact that Lewis has that walk-off home run power at any time. So that's intriguing because even if Gane's outlasting him, even if Lewis is exhausted, he's shown in the past, like in the Volkov fight, that he has enough to dial it up. And then when you look at the Latifi fight, that's one where Derrick Lewis, a lot of people thought he lost that fight, but against Ilir Latifi on February 8th of 2020, that was it. He went the distance. That was also in Houston, and he won by unanimous decision. He found a way to win that fight without hitting any big shots on Latifi. That's, to me, where Derrick Lewis really proved as a mixed martial artist how good he can be. So he's much more than just the walk-off, knockout, one-punch, killer. He actually is a legit mixed martial artist, but he does not have the all-around gone.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question that Ciryl Gane. I mean, sometimes the better fighter doesn't win. Styles make fights, and so you just don't know. Do I think that Ciryl Gane's a better fighter than Derrick Lewis? Absolutely. He's a better striker. He's a better conditioned athlete. He's better at Muay Thai. And so we will see if Derrick Lewis's punching power and his fight IQ. I think that's something a lot of people didn't talk about with Derrick Lewis a lot, is he gets these knockouts late, conserves energy, stays out of trouble on the ground. He's got a pretty high fight IQ. But we don't talk about it because his right hand is so damn powerful that it overshadows everything. So that's what it is with Derrick Lewis. He's got other skills. It's just that it's one skill that he's so good at overshadows everything, that it just gets lost.
Man, Gane's taller, a little bit longer. Lewis, a much heavier fighter, about 20 pounds on a weight limit. They're just about to get it on, Jeff. The first round is just about to start. We have the running clock here on MMA Weekly. I'm going to let them know when it starts, even though I don't have the sound on. But it looks like we are ready to go with our main event right now. And boom, start the clock. Round 1 underway. The Black Beast and Bongamin for the interim heavyweight title belt. After Francis Ngannou has been the champion for a little more than 4 months, barely over 4 months. Both guys kind of danced a little bit. We'll see if Gane does fights. He's there, and then he's strike. And Volkov. Lewis, we know what he's doing. Big head kick. He throws a head kick. Derrick Lewis going for the head kick knockout in his hometown early in round number 1. Missed it, fell down. No harm, no foul, Jeff.
Why not? Right? Why? You know that Ciryl Gane was not expecting that. So props to Lewis.
No.
For that in. Yeah. Didn't
Gane's
get anything
big.
out of it. Oh yeah.
Gane is
Gane
big.
is big.
He's tall. He's tall. Lewis has a lot more weight around the midsection. If Derrick Lewis leaned up and got rid of all his body fat, he'd look exactly like Ciryl Gane. They have the same body style and body type. It's just Gane's ripped. For a guy that big to be that ripped, that fast, that athletic is definitely, it bears repeating. We compared him to a middleweight. He really fights like one.
Yeah, that head kick wasn't bad. It almost got through. I think because he shocked Gane so bad by throwing it. But yeah, look, Ciryl is pressuring Derrick Lewis, which I didn't know that he would do. He kind of stands
attacking the lead leg.
He stands in kickboxing range, though. He's smart enough not to be in boxing range. He's out here in kickboxing range, but he's actually pressuring Derrick Lewis.
But Lewis is long, man. When he hits you, he can reach you in that secondary range. You got to be careful because he's one of those guys who can hit you from a couple of feet away. You don't have to be standing right in front of him with that length he has.
Yeah.
And much pop
Lewis
on the end of his punch.
Yeah, Lewis hasn't thrown much so far, and so Gane doesn't have a read on hand speed or range or anything yet. But Cyryl's doing a good job leg kicking the lead leg of Lewis. Lewis can't just sit there and let him kick his thigh all fight, though.
No, that's a lot of points adding up and a lot of damage over time. I mean, that doesn't look like much. But he can't just leave that leg there. You're right. Ooh, Gane's quick with those hands, though. You see how fast that jab came through? Another kick to the lead leg. He's hitting the back of that, like in that hamstring, thigh to hamstring area on the side of that leg of Lewis. And that's about 8 or 10 of those leg kicks that I've seen right there just come right through unchecked. Lewis doesn't seem to be worried about it.
No, he
remember
doesn't.
He was
Lewis. Go ahead.
I was going to say, remember, he was losing pretty badly. Curtis Blades looked like he was having his way with Derrick Lewis in that fight, and then he came in for that takedown and got crushed. It can happen at any time. You can't blink in a Derrick Lewis fight.
Mm-mm. And Derrick Lewis will rush in pretty soon with a flurry because that's what he does. And we'll see what happens when he does. But right now, he's letting Ciryl Gane just throw jabs and pepper his lead leg with leg kicks. And Lewis has offered little, if anything, of offensive attack.
And you just kicked him in the nuts. Does that count?
Yes, maybe extra.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to. He went for a kick to the midsection, and right there in the cup. And that can't feel good. That's a 180-pound leg right there. So you're not gonna feel so good when that happens.
No, not a bad strategy though. Slows down. He didn't do it on purpose, but I'm just saying, man, that might be what I do to Ciryl Gane is try to kick him in the cup and slow his ass down.
Yeah, I think he's okay. He's back in the center of the octagon. They'll fist bump it out, and we're back underway. 135 and counting in round number 1.
But
so
that
our
gives,
clock's a little off.
That it gives Lewis a little reset. That break right there gives him a little reset. So we'll see what happens.
Ciryl Gane had to come inside of a big Derrick Lewis right hand there. He avoided it by going into the chest and locking him up real quick. That was pretty smart because had he backed up, he'd have backed up right into that punch. Look out. Oh, my God. Lewis swinging for the fences as Gane raced away. He just missed his head with that big right. Man,
Yeah.
that's dangerous. Like you can hear, and I don't even have the volume on I'm watching the fights, but you can almost hear the crowd. That he's one of those guys, man. The heavyweights, you never know. Turn out your lights in one shot. Gane, meanwhile, Jeff's switching stances like he likes to do. I mean, he's definitely ambidextrous when it comes to fighting, and he's able to pull that off. Big advantage for him.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to get caught in the middle of switching. And that's something Lewis needs to do, is start figuring out when he's switching stances, and then that's when you got to go. But we'll
Gane
see.
with
We'll
a big
see.
right hand and then a leg kick, and now Lewis just gets popped with a jab in the mouth. That Jed looking for something from the ref there. End of the first round. Did Lewis get hit in the eye? Yeah, he got hit in the eye, in the left eye. Let's see. But it was a punch, not a finger. It was a punch. Popped him.
Look at it.
They actually hit each other in the eye at the same time. Interesting. But Lewis is having trouble with that left eye, but that was a punch that hit him there, not a finger. Closed fist. Lewis fought Roy Nelson, by the way. He said Lewis versus Roy Nelson would be a dream match. It was actually a great fight. Derrick Lewis fought Roy Nelson all the way back at UFC Dos Anjos versus Alvarez, July 7th, 2016. I was there for that fight, and that was a good night of fight. That was when Alvarez beat Dos Anjos for the lightweight championship, and that Roy Nelson-Derrick Lewis fight was 3 rounds of Nelson just having his way, taking him down, throwing him all over the cage, and Lewis found a way to win. Good fight.
It was definitely a punch. But it's sometimes hard, man. You get like a corner of the glove gets in there. His eye's not swollen closed or anything. You can see out of it. Not a big deal. But yeah, the punch landed so cleanly on the eye socket that Lewis thought that he got eye poked, and he did not get eye poked.
He did not get eye, but I've been hit by punches like that. That's no fun, where the knuckle just buries itself and pushes your eye back into your skull, however briefly, and you hope it doesn't detach anything. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. So that's not Lewis trying to do anything. He literally thought that he got poked, but he did not get poked. That was a clean left jab straight on the eye socket.
They don't look tired. Tap out. Ciryl Gane definitely doesn't look tired. Derrick Lewis looks good, but that lead leg can't continue to take the assault of those kicks from Ciryl Gane. Lewis is throwing more leg kicks now too, and he's attacking the legs of Ciryl Gane in the body a little bit now more too. And those right hands of Lewis, I mean, if you think it does a lot of damage, of course, when it can, but those shots that he connects with to the body are devastating. They'll take your breath away. And that's the last thing you want, especially as the fight moves on, those body shots that decimate and cripple you. I don't know why Joe Rogan missed this fight card. People in the chat are asking about what's Cruz in D.C.
Joe Rogan is on a comedy tour right now. And that took precedent. He chose to go on the comedy tour rather than do this.
Yeah, he's missing one.
Scheduling conflict.
Hey guys, has round 2 started yet?
Oh, yep. We're a whole minute into round 2.
I nooch on that. We're at 3:30 of round number 2. He gives me one job, and I can't even do it. Tell me when the round starts, Jim.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
3:15 and counting left in round number 2. This fight I'm on the edge of my seat, man. It's not intense. There's not a ton of action. It's better than Lewis and Ngannou was, but I mean, when you have the kind of power that these two guys have, you know, you're going to be very careful. Oh, Lewis charging off the cage with a flying knee. There you go. I love when Derrick Lewis does stuff like that out of nowhere. Just like full-on sprints at you. You're like, whoa, hey.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to do something. He's got to do something here because he's just getting he's just getting picked apart a little bit. I mean, he's not getting hurt or anything, but he's picked apart because he doesn't have the speed to keep up with Gane.
Gane won that exchange, chest to chest, pins Lewis up against the cage. They're both so big, towering over the top of the cage. After watching all these bantamweights all night, Jeff, these tiny little dudes in there all night. Welterweights are a little bigger, but these two guys are massive, man, in terms of height, weight, just big monster fighters in there.
Yeah. When they go against the fence, the whole cage moves. The whole thing.
Joe Rogan does the big cards once a month. We know that. He does the pay-per-views. He should be there at this one, but he's on his comedy tour.
Yeah, it's just a conflict of scheduling, and so Joe Rogan's a comedian first, you know.
Good job by Scott on the clock. Improv.
There you go.
140 and counting. There we go. We're right on point.
Gane, I mean, but for me, Gane, you know, he has Lewis pressed against the cage a little bit and having success on the inside. And I thought he could have success on the inside right here. He's just got to be real careful on exiting because Lewis will try to hit you on the exit.
Yeah, and that lead leg of Derrick Lewis, that's about 20 times it's been kicked. I mean, I'm just guesstimating. It could be more. But that will slowly but surely zap you of your power. You know, that's a lot of power that you're taking away by crushing that lead. And looks like is Henson's high fighter after all. He's in the clinch right now. Throwing shoulders, throwing elbows, Jeff. He's starting to get dirty in there, Ciryl Gane.
Yeah, I mean, the clinch is his world, man. I mean, you know, that's where he's most effective, in my opinion. He gets in there and he's got really
nice elbow from Gane. Followed by a right hand after Lewis missed with a right.
Yeah,
crushed him with an elbow directly to the side of the skull.
Yeah, those are brutal, man, and he's extremely good at that. But yeah, Lewis is going to have to. He has no answer for anything Ciryl Gane's doing, which is what I've been saying for the last 3 times Ciryl Gane's fought. Is his opponent doesn't have an answer for.
Doesn't have an answer.
I mean, what Ciryl does, it doesn't. It's not like it wows you. You know what I mean? But it's effective. It's effective. Oh, that was a.
End of round number 2. Gane missed with a big kick. Lewis looks a little frustrated. So some of the comments in the chat and some of the things that people were saying about Lewis being one-dimensional, one-trick pony, even that type of thing, it sort of looks that way in this fight. Ciryl Gane's making him look that way. He's only Ciryl Gane seems to fight and pushing him against the hit him with a big elbow there, chopping down that lead leg. I'd have to go 2 rounds to none for Ciryl Gane right now.
Yeah, and Lewis is one-dimensional in his offensive attack. I mean, he is. He threw that head kick, you know, that kind of shocked everybody. He throws some crazy stuff, like he'll throw knees off the cage and stuff. But for the most part, he's a boxer with knockout power.
And someone's asking Jeff if Lewis looks sloppy. You answer that. I don't think so. They're asking if Lewis looks sloppy. I just think Gane looks great.
That's a loaded question, Jim. I think Lewis regularly looks sloppy. But
that's a loaded question.
Yeah, but that's what makes him so dangerous, though. I think that Lewis is one of those guys that lulls you in. Like, you know, you see this big guy who looks a little out of shape, and now we're in the 3rd round, right? And so Cyryl's going to be like, "Look, I'm hitting this guy when I want to hit him. I'm landing leg kicks. I'm faster than him." I think that he's starting to gas. He's sweating all over the place. And then, boom, Derrick Lewis lands a bomb. And so, while, yeah, he looks sloppy, I also think it's part of the strategy, like having your hands down, like Anderson Silva having his hands down. It's because he's such a good counter striker that go on, try to hit me, watch what happens, you know. And so, yes, to answer your question, Lewis does look sloppy, but I think that he usually does. And that sometimes it works for him.
Man, I love the way Ciryl Gane fights against Rosenstruik, against Volkov. He just threw a bomb at Lewis's head, just grazed him. But the way that he dances around, keeps hitting him with those leg kicks. 4 minutes, Scott. Man, see, that's 2 in a row. I get so wrapped up. I apologize. I'm sorry, guys.
We will get the 4th and 5th round right.
Clock, man. But we got Gane just dancing around, Jeff. I mean, he's still... That cardio is crazy. We're at 3:45 of round 3, and he has round 1 energy, and he's switching stances left and right and left, orthodox and southpaw. I mean, that's a lot of looks for Lewis, and he's dancing all over the octagon, and he clearly right now seems to think that he's wearing Derrick Lewis out. Lewis chasing him now a little bit. And you
Well,
know what the fans are going to say? Lewis should be, Gane's chicken. He's dancing away. But it's just a smart strategy against a power puncher to stay the hell away from him.
Well, I don't think that Lewis is making Ciryl work hard enough to where it's going to have any effect on cardio. He doesn't make you work. He doesn't. He's not pressuring Ciryl or anything. He's just Gane's just able to throw leg kicks, a couple of jabs, circle away. Repeat, watch, repeat. And until
Lewis starting to switch stances now. Lewis standing southpaw. I wonder if that lead leg's bothering him from those kicks. Every time Gane gets close, he switches. Oh, just missed with an elbow, Ciryl Gane. Now he's got him pinned. Lewis with his hands around Gane's back looked like he might be able to trip him and throw him down for a second there. Both these guys so strong. Crazy. Trying to land a takedown on either one of these two.
But in order for Lewis to land that bomb, he has to throw it more. You know what I mean? If you throw it 10 times and land one, that's only 10% landing ratio. But, you can't sit here and throw the thing 5 times and then wonder why it never connected. You're not putting it out there.
No.
But he can't. But in his defense, Gane's not in front of him. Gane throws his jab, throws his leg kick, and then he gets out. And so Lewis then has to move forward.
Just missed him with 2 big bombs, too, and took another leg kick to the back of that right leg, at the top of the right or left leg, rather, of Derrick Lewis, which is killing him. And Gane crushes him with an uppercut. Look out, Derrick Lewis in big trouble, Jeff. Big trouble. This one's not. Oh man, Derrick Lewis is not going to make it if this keeps up. Ciryl Gane wailing away. Derrick Lewis somehow survives. He's just super strong and tough. But man, he got blasted a few times there out of nowhere. Just Ciryl Gane just all over him. Lewis standing and trading, and now he gets knocked down. The end might be near for Derrick Lewis. Takes a big knee, punches, more punches. Man, Miragliotta's going to get killed if he stops this thing. He's not going to make it out of Houston.
His front leg is. I'm right before this uppercut. Lewis rushed in and tried to land a punch. His left leg buckled.
Head kick.
His front leg's compromised.
Lewis standing and trading. He looks kind of shot right now. Ciryl Gane rushing in, eats a right hand. Derrick Lewis finally connected, but it's more like in the 60s to in the under 10 in significant strikes. Lewis was grabbing his eye. Now Gane's on top of him, pounding away. This thing's going to get stopped. There it is. Ciryl Gane is the interim heavyweight champion in the UFC, Jeff, and he made it look easy against Ciryl Gane, putting on a show for the fans in Houston tonight. What a performance in a title fight for him to do what he just did to Derrick Lewis. You don't see that happen.
It's not a title fight.
You don't see Derrick Lewis get dominated like that. Ciryl Gane picked him apart from the start, and he just beat him up in round 3.
Yeah, Lewis, we just talked about how Lewis gets beat up in fights before he lands the big bomb. He didn't land the big bomb in this one. And now, unlucky for Ciryl, he's going to have to fight Francis Ngannou. When
are you going to pick Ciryl Gane, Jeff? That's 3 in a row.
when he puts together a fight that impresses me.
This one didn't impress you?
No.
Okay.
No, that's the way Stipe would beat him. That's the way most people would beat Derrick Lewis. I was more impressed with the Volkov win, to be honest with you, because Volkov gave resistance. Volkov was a different fight. But no,
it was the leg kicks, Jeff. The leg kicks did the trick for him.
Yeah, Lewis, right, like I said, right before that the whole series where the uppercut landed and he had Lewis in danger, and then Lewis kind of bent over and he started unloading right hands on him. Lewis jumped in and tried to put together a combination in his front knee buckles. They're showing the rig.
Yeah.
And then I think that he just wanted out of there at that point. Gane looked good, but he should have done that to Derrick Lewis.
He just got the gold shirt. He just got the gold shirt for a champion.
And now,
Jeff loves that.
Ngannou's the champion. Yeah, Ngannou's the champion.
And the former training partners will square off for the belt now, man. How about that for the real belt?
We'll see. We'll see what that's the plan, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But we will see if that's going to happen.
Derrick Lewis has nothing to be ashamed of, man. Those leg kicks were brutal.
Well, he had to his game plan was flawed. he was letting Ciryl Gane stand on the outside and come in and dictate the pace and so you're going to get picked apart by a better striker. And for Lewis to counter that, he needed to be the aggressor and make, Gane react to him. And he wasn't able to do that, partially because of Gane's footwork and Gane's speed. And so what really just happened, in my opinion, is Ciryl Gane was an absolute terrible matchup for Derrick Lewis. And it showed. But I think that's what everybody sees when they fight Derrick Lewis. And we've seen that. Derrick Lewis has looked bad in fights until he wins. And tonight he did not win. He did not land the big power punch. He didn't even come close to it. The closest he came to landing a big shot was the head kick he threw in the first round. So yes, he got dominated. Now you're going to have Ciryl Gane fight for the title, and we'll see how he fares against. God, I'd be pissed if I was Stipe. That's all I got. All I know. Boy, I'd be mad.
Stipe is pretty pissed. He's not happy.
Oh, he should be. Stipe talk about leaving.
I mean, he's not a happy camper.
No, he shouldn't be.
I think, Jeff, and you're right about Lewis. After that last leg kick, the thing just buckled, and that was smart against Derrick Lewis. But that might not necessarily work against Francis Ngannou, who's much more explosive and faster than Derrick Lewis. And you know what, man? I said this year, before this year even started, that Ciryl Gane will be a big factor in the title picture before the end of the year. And I didn't expect it to be this fast. No one did. But he's got the gold around his waist, and he's got a chance against Francis to unify that and be the undisputed champion. Sometime you'd have to think maybe end of the year, November-ish, somewhere around those lines. I'd guess. Not November, because the November card's straight. Maybe the December card. Who knows? But I do know this. Right now, I would pick Ciryl Gane to win that fight. And he hasn't let me down 3 in a row. And 4 if you count Junior Dos Santos, but that was an easy pick. Yeah. Rosenstruik, Volkov, and Lewis. I picked him all 3 times, and he hasn't let me down yet.
I don't care. I don't care about that, man. It's fucking squirrels finding nuts, man, because it's not based on anything. If the guy had 30 fights and it's like an analytical analysis on why he's going to win, that's one thing. But to say when a guy has 6 fights that he's going to go on a run because I think it's his time, it's not. I
just have a knack for these things, Jeff. I can't help it. I just have a knack for picking talent and figuring out when guys are going to do things. It's just what I've done throughout my life. For some reason, that's my one skill doing these shows, that I can actually project what's going to happen in the near future. I've been right about a lot.
I'm going to have to go back and watch these shows.
I pick Ciryl Gane every time. You picked against him.
Yeah. But again, like I said, you can make a fight prediction based on nothing, and that holds about as much water as a strainer. And then when you make a fight based on something, it actually has value. And so there's the problem, So, yeah, man, we can talk about music, but then can we talk about the pentatonic scale, And so there's a difference. There's a difference between the shit. Ciryl Gane.
It holds as much water as a strainer.
Ciryl Gane, man, just he's lucky the heavyweight division's so fucking weak right now is what it comes down to. He's lucky that Stipe got taken out. Because when you get
it's not a fight,
what's
Jeff.
The chat gonna say? What's the chat?
It's not a fight card if we don't fight once.
What's the chat gonna say? Right? That Derrick Lewis is one-dimensional, and he is. That Francis Ngannou is one-dimensional, and he is. I mean, the reality is the heavyweight division is fucking weak.
Jeff is getting trashed in the chat room right now. Jeff is jealous. Guy on the left is trash. He has no idea what he's saying.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, I'm jealous, dude. You gotta have attributes for me to be jealous, man. Yep. People and then you throw that up. Like the chat fucking matters to me, matters to me. Motherfuckers are tuning into my show.
Now it's your show. I love you, Jeff. No, it's not mine. It's not. I don't know whose it is, actually. That's probably more yours than mine. You're the editor. Although Scott has something to say about that. Scott could cut us both off right now and take us both off the show.
He could. I'm my own. Last time I checked, I'm my own boss, Jim.
He's a couple of clicks away from being rid of both of us.
God, dude.
Oh, my God. Jeff, I'll tell you what, man. He looks good, though. You got to admit, Ciryl Gane's got a lot of skills, and what he's done against 3 pretty high-level fighters. I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of guys out there who want a piece of him. Stipe, Blades, for Jones when he comes up, and then Ngannou will finally learn. I mean, look, Ngannou's a beast. He's a lot faster, a lot quicker. He's just and he can reach you from freaking anywhere. Like the punch against Rosenstruik was stunned when it hit him because he was so far away. And Ngannou he's a lot quicker than Derrick Lewis. It's a completely different fight and a completely different game plan to fight him, for sure.
No, I think the game plan is going to be exactly the same. Leg kick, in and out, rotate away from the power hand. I think the game plan's the same. Because the differences between Derrick Lewis and Francis Ngannou aren't that much. It's the same thing. You got to watch your right hand. You got to worry about a flurry. But you don't have to worry about takedowns. You don't got to worry about submissions, and you don't got to worry about kicks for the most part. And so you're really just worried about a boxer. And so it makes game planning a lot easier for him. Like I said, if it were Stipe, it would be a different. That to me is a different stylistic matchup because you got to bring more to the table than just beating a boxer. But that's not the landscape of the division. I mean, it is the landscape of the division, but the UFC decided to act like Stipe didn't exist. And so here we are.
The best fight in the division is Stipe and Gane, if you ask me. That's the best fight, that I'd look forward to the most.
Well, they missed the boat on the best fight, which would have been Jon Jones and Stipe. They missed the boat on that.
And they're trying to do it now.
Boat on Jon Jones and yeah. But it's Jones is just going to have to stick to his guns. I mean, Dana White said when Jones moves up to the heavyweight division, he'll get an immediate title shot. Dana said
that.
Yep.
And then he'll tell us he wants too much money and he's full of shit and he doesn't really want to fight.
I know, but now he's saying, okay, come up to the heavyweight division and you're not getting a title fight. And so if I were Jones, I would just do the same thing. I'm not going to fight. And do it on my terms. I'm going to go up. I'm going to fight for the fucking championship. What was all those years in the light heavyweight division and atop the pound for pound list didn't mean anything. And so let Dana answer that. And if Dana doesn't want Jon Jones to fight, then Jon Jones can go fight somewhere else or become choose a different profession or not fight at all, But Jon shouldn't be all that upset. Who should be upset? Stipe. Stipe's the one that should be upset because he should have had an immediate rematch with Ngannou. And now he didn't get that. And now he's not going to get the next fight with Ngannou because it's going to be Ciryl Gane. And then does he get that fight? Does he get the winner of that? Or is he going to have to go fight? Who knows, man? Somebody in the heavyweight division that they think will beat him. And then he gets his rightful shot back at the belt that he held longer than anybody. He's the one that should be mad. Jones should be sort of upset, but not too bad.
Why is it
what?
Jeff, why would this be let's leave that up there from the chat for a second. From Brandon Potts says, Gane used to be sparring training partners with Ngannou. That's a mental advantage for him and a mental together. Makes no sense.
You have to know what happened in training. We don't know what happened in training. Like if Ciryl Gane beat up Francis every day that they train, like Chuck Liddell did Tito, yeah, that's a psychological advantage. If that didn't happen, then there's no psychological advantage really, except that both of them know each other and they know each other's range and they know how each other feels. They know each other's power. But I think that's been a long time ago. If I'm correct, it's been years and years.
Well, it was when he left right after he lost to Stipe in Boston. It's been a couple years.
Okay.
He left right after the Stipe fight.
Yeah, Francis is
left.
better. Yeah, Francis is better than he was when he lost to Stipe. But
he's at Extreme Couture. Yeah.
But Ciryl Gane should match up good with. It's the same thing. I'm going to say the same thing when that fight happens. Is he's going to try to outpoint him and pepper him with shots and hope to not get clipped.
Ngannou's not ducking fights, by the way, Jeff. He's not ducking fights. There's no. We got a lot of good Stipe versus Jones winner. So Brandon Miser.
Fights.
Here's a Brandon Miser says they need to make Francis versus Jones before this dude gets into the mix. Gane ruins everything about the Jones heavyweight climb. That's a great comment. You know what? That triggers a thought in my head. That's what a good comment's supposed to do. What do you think about that from Brandon Miser? They need to make Francis versus Jones before this dude gets into the mix. Gane ruins everything about the Jones heavyweight climb. Too late. Gane's already in the mix. He's their interim champ. But I really think that comment holds a lot of weight. What do you think, Jeff?
No. I think that should have done Jones and Stipe because it's the greatest heavyweight against the greatest light heavyweight. Francis is not the greatest heavyweight.
And they missed it. They missed
Francis, if Gane beats, look, what fight sells more? So if we do John Jones and Francis Ngannou tomorrow, what's the sell rate? Where if Gane beats Francis and then we do John Jones and Ciryl Gane, which one sells more? It's going to be the most recent one, right? It's going to be the Gane versus Jones. And so he doesn't ruin what they're doing for Jones. He just changes it. He changes it dramatically. Now the storyline is not greatest heavyweight versus the greatest lightweight or light heavyweight. The storyline is up and comer undefeated Ciryl Gane fights the GOAT. And so just the storyline changes, but they can still build that. I don't think they diminish anything. I think that what Ciryl Gane has done is screwed Stipe's legacy out of there to where he's not going to get a second shot at it. And maybe Ciryl Gane ended the Derrick Lewis kind of era and the craze.
Yeah.
But Ciryl Gane hadn't done anything to John Jones. I think that John Jones fighting Ngannou's big. John Jones fighting Ciryl Gane is big. John Jones fighting anybody's big. John Jones is the name. I mean, at the end
John
of the day,
Jones is the name.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Gane would have to do a lot more than he's done for him to outshine John Jones. But the storyline's there. You got a young up-and-comer who's undefeated at 10-0, just captured the heavyweight championship by beating, or the interim championship by finishing Derrick Lewis, and that's a great storyline right there. So I don't think Gane's learned anything other than maybe
and Gane and Jones have it.
And Rosenstruck.
Haven't seen a lot of that. Guys have more power when they move once they end up with a lot more power, and that's interesting. But the fight that I would want, I still think Curtis Blaydes is going to have something to say at the top of this division eventually, too, if it's not this year, maybe next year. But I also think, Jeff, the one fight that I would want to see in this division more than any other fight that I would want to see as a fan of the sport from what I think would happen in this fight, it would be Ciryl Gane and Stipe. They're both athletic. They're the same size. I think Stipe would give him fits, bro. I really think that would be a great fight.
Oh, well, I think the two guys that match up the best was Ciryl, because like I said, I think that Francis is pretty much Derrick Lewis, who's more athletic, but his attributes are pretty much the same, except maybe more speed. I think that Blaydes and Stipe, because Blaydes isn't going to stand out there and he's not going to let Gane do that to him. He's going to take him down, or he's going to try like hell to take him down. And so stylistically, that could be a tough matchup for Ciryl Gane. We're going to find out his takedown defense and all of that in that fight. Because strategically, the thing that the public might not have got privy to, the UFC just lined Ciryl Gane up with 3 strikers in a row. He won. There's a reason why he didn't fight Curtis Blaydes. There's a reason why that Cormier didn't get thrown in that mix. There's a reason why, and it's because the matchmakers line up fights for one reason. It's to build fighters, And so he's not fighting Blaydes unless it's for a title. No way. No way in hell.
Stipe had his moment. No, Stipe didn't have his moment. That's not fair to say that Stipe. I mean, he had a run, but he's not done. You can't say Stipe's done because he got finished by Francis. He beat Francis once. Francis beat him once. I don't know, man. I think Ciryl Gane's going to beat Francis. That would be my pick right now. I would pick Ciryl Gane over Francis because he's too good of a mixed martial artist. He's too, but Francis is so fast, and he has the power of Derrick Lewis. Man, it's crazy. I mean, he's quick. He's got the tank.
Yeah, but I mean, and we're going to have to see Ciryl Gane against a wrestler before I start giving him those accolades. And a real wrestler, it's kind of like the Conor and Mendez fight. It's like we got to see him against a wrestler, and he looked terrible against Mendez until Mendez gassed.
He did.
And so I don't know what Ciryl Gane would look like against a Blaydes, or Cormier's gone, so but I mean, and the heavyweight division doesn't have any traditional wrestlers right there in the top 5 anyway. It's gonna have to be somebody who's up and coming, and that we don't really not on our radar right now.
Do you think Ngannou's a one trick? No. A lot of people saying that's how he's been winning fights, but his takedown defense, you know what I mean? He's a better version of Derrick Lewis. How about that? Much better.
I mean, maybe I don't. Yeah, I think that Derrick Lewis and Francis Ngannou are one-trick ponies. They are the two most one-dimensional fighters in the sport. Period. Or not, maybe not the whole sport, but in the UFC. Period.
And you
Tell
get away
me
with
a
it in the
fighter on
heavyweight division.
Yeah,
A little
I mean,
more. You couldn't get away with that in the lower divisions.
Hell no, you can't get away with it. And look,
Not even close.
It's this era that they're getting away with this. Could they have got away with this in the Cain Velasquez era? Nope.
No.
Could they got away with this in the Junior Dos Santos?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, Cain would maul either one of these guys. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
So
doubt.
it's about the era that we're in, and so these guys are enjoying less resistance because there's no wrestlers up there. There's no Cormier, there's no Cain Velasquez. Blades is the one, and Lewis was able to knock the shit out of him. Although when you look at that fight, I mean that's the thing about fights is that Blades dominated Derrick Lewis. He dominated him every second of that fight except for the 1 second. And so we keep talking like Blades. Oh my God, Blades doesn't. Blades is still the biggest threat in my opinion. Him and Stipe to Gane or Lewis or Francis. Because look, Blades is not going to stand there with Gane. He's not going to stand there with Francis. He's going to try to take him down. And what Gane's going to do to Ngannou is exactly what he did to Lewis. It's just going to be is Francis faster with his jab? Can he set up combinations better? Because that's what you saw tonight. Derrick Lewis has no combinations. He's just got he just loads. He doesn't even set up the right hand. He wasn't even using jabs. Right. But he never does. He never had to. Where I don't know. I mean, I'll have to go back and look at Francis Ngannou's fights. Does he throw a lot of jabs? Does he set up that right hand? Because he didn't with Overeem. I remember that one.
Right.
He just kind of, I don't know. But if he doesn't set up that right hand with jabs, then he'll lose to Gane. Because Gane's just going to out-technique him.
And the way that Gane gets in there and starts throwing those elbows and fighting in close, that would give, to me, that could be something that would give Ngannou fits.
Yeah, I have to look at how tall they both are and all of that. I don't know, because I think Ngannou might be better in the clinch than Lewis is, as far as absorbing those shots and making sure he doesn't eat that elbow and stuff. But I don't know, man. Francis is kind of like Gane. There's not a shit ton of tape on the guy. I haven't seen him in a variety of matchups. I've seen him in specific matchups, but I haven't seen him face somebody like a Gane, because they don't really exist in the heavyweight division. And so I don't know. Is Gane the better fighter, more well-rounded fighter than Francis? Yes. But I don't even want to call Gane a well-rounded fighter yet because I don't know. He's good at Muay Thai. I haven't seen him shoot a double on anybody. I haven't seen him set up a triangle choke or rear naked choke anybody or get somebody in a guillotine. I don't. And so all I can really say confidently about Gane is that he's a very skilled Muay Thai striker that controls the distance really well. And all I could say about Francis Ngannou as a striker is he's got really good punching power. And so I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know that Francis has good head movement. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that Stipe could present problems with Gane is because he actually has head movement. I don't know that Francis even has head movement. I don't know. I mean, I agree right now. If you have to press me right now on who's going to win between Francis Ngannou and Ciryl Gane, it's probably going to be Ciryl Gane unless Francis Ngannou decides to wrestle. And then I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Gane's a beast.
I think that, like I said, I think that it's the era that they're in. He wouldn't. He's fortunate that there's not a Cain.
No, or even like Nogueira,
or even like a Lesnar, even,
Frank Mir, wrestlers and grapplers. Where have they gone? Jeff Cain, you got Blades, and if Jones comes up, there's nothing at the top of that division. I mean, there used to be so many great grapplers and wrestlers in the heavyweight division, and it's just not there right now, man. It is just not there in the heavyweight division. When you look at it, you look at Blades is a wrestler. Jones, if he comes up, is a wrestler. The rest of them are boxers and kickboxers, man.
Oh yeah. And look, Gane has shown that he's absolutely a skilled kickboxer, Muay Thai fighter. 100%.
Yep. And Stipe
Like,
can wrestle. Stipe can really wrestle. He's pretty good.
Yeah, and Stipe's really good at boxing, and he's fast too.
Yep.
So I think Stipe could pose a hell of a lot of difficulty for Ciryl Gane. But you won't see him fight. But what's weird about that is Ciryl Gane might be Stipe's ticket to a title fight. Because if Ciryl Gane goes up there and beats Francis, they will do Stipe and Gane. Where right
Man,
now,
I gotta check Stipe's social media, see if he commented yet. You just triggered
hasn't.
me.
He's pretty
I mean,
quiet,
if I'm watching Derrick Lewis in that fight, and I'll be honest, and I love Derrick Lewis, if I'm Stipe watching Derrick Lewis and that effort that he put forth tonight, I'm more pissed than I've ever been. Legitimately.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Derrick Lewis rode that right hand as far as he could, right? He rode it as far as he could. Now, that top of the division, he can't do that. He can't do that against the Francis. Well, he holds a win over Francis. I don't think he can do that to Francis right now. He clearly can't do that to Ciryl Gane. And he wasn't able to do it. I mean, that's what's crazy is he wasn't able to do it against Blades. He wasn't able to do it in the other fight, whatever it was that he won. But he lands that big knockout, man. He lands that big knockout. But like I said, Gane is the best striker as far as the Muay Thai on the inside. Like I said, I don't know if he's a better boxer than Stipe, like a pure boxer, if they were just boxing.
Right.
But he's a better kickboxer than Stipe. And so that's a good fight. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird era that we're in because I didn't really think about that till I made the offhand comment about Cain. That there are the heavyweight division's been taken over by strikers. And not great strikers. That's what makes Ciryl Gane separate from the group. You know, because I don't care what anybody says. Francis Ngannou's not a great striker. Derrick Lewis is not a great striker. They're not.
They're not. They're not because striking is elbows and knees and kicks and punches. I mean, it's everything. They're knockout artists and headhunters and boxers. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's setting things up. They don't even do that. Ciryl Gane's a good
Stipe's not done. Shut the hell up. Not you, Jeff. Stipe's not done. You guys are, I mean, come on. You guys are so quick to write people off.
Stipe's not done,
Stipe, he's not. He looked pretty good against Francis. He got caught, man. He's not done. Ease up. These are probably the same guys who want to see O'Malley fight everyone in the top three.
Well,
right now, 3-on-1, and O'Malley would win.
Stipe got hit by Francis, and he tried to get it back. And so he rushed in and walked right into a stiff jab and went to sleep. That's it, man. He made two mistakes, you know. He got overzealous and tried to get it back instead of just letting the fight play out the way it's going to play out. And then he rushed in on a guy with a humongous punching power. And so he got what he got. But Stipe's not done. Stipe, in my opinion, is still the best heavyweight in the world. I mean, even though he lost to Francis, I still think Stipe's better than Francis. I think if we run that fight 10 times, Stipe's going to win more than Francis does. But on that particular night, Francis knocked Stipe in the next week. I don't know who will win between Stipe and Ciryl Gane. You know, I don't. That's the friggin' fight, man. That's the fight because I don't think if people watch that fight tonight and they're honest with themselves, there is no reason why he can't do that to Francis Ngannou. There is absolutely no reason that you have to imagine that Francis is going to land a big shot. Okay, that's it. For Ciryl to beat Francis, he can do it with the leg kicks, right? He can do it with his boxing. He can do it with his elbows on the inside. For Francis to beat Ciryl, it's going to be a big right hand from the outside. That's it. So I feel like Cyryl's probably the next heavyweight champion, and then Stipe might regain it back. But I don't know that. I think the worst.
No, and if I'm John Jones,
Ciryl Gane is Curtis Blades. I think that's the worst.
It's Curtis Blades. I was just gonna say because of his wrestling and his take. I mean, this guy hit Volkov with 15 takedowns in a fight, Jeff. But what I'm wondering, if I'm John Jones right now, I'm looking at this division and I'm salivating like a hungry dog because I'm not seeing anyone who has shit for me. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it right now. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. I don't know what you're going to say, Jeff. If I'm John Jones, I'm sitting there licking my chops going, nobody can touch me in that division and wreck that place. That's how I feel if I'm John.
I think the only people in that division that could give Jones Stipe and now Ciryl. And look, when I say that I think Blades is the worst matchup for Ciryl Gane, let me go back to what I was saying, to Jim earlier, man. That's based on nothing. That's based on absolutely nothing. Like, I don't know how Ciryl Gane is on the ground. I haven't seen it. Ciryl Gane might be a fucking beast on the ground. We just don't know it. And so while I say, I want to rephrase it. I don't know that Curtis Blades is the worst matchup for Ciryl Gane, but it's the most interesting because he poses a skill set that we don't know about Ciryl Gane in. And so that's the only reason why I say that. He might not be a bad matchup. Ciryl Gane might go out there and beat the living shit out of Curtis Blades, but at least Curtis presents a piece of the puzzle that Ciryl hasn't answered yet. You know if that makes sense. Ciryl, we don't know how Ciryl is on the ground. We don't know what it's like if he's got a black belt on top of him or whatever. If he had a Verdum on top of him, for instance, but he hasn't needed to.
Yeah. And hold on one second, though. All these people who are saying John Jones hasn't had power at light heavyweight, I mean, you didn't watch all his fights, number one. I mean, look, there's been some fights where he didn't finish guys, but he beat Reyes, he beat Santos, Anthony Smith. But when a guy puts on 35, 40 pounds the way Jones has, it adds a lot of power. Let's not underestimate the possibility that Jones at 240 to 250 pounds will be a wrecking ball and have dynamite in his fist. You can't assume that Jones has. I hate it, guys, and I'm not ripping on anybody in particular in the chat, but it seems to be a popular narrative whenever a fighter doesn't, Ciryl Gane decisioned Volkov and Rosenstrike. He doesn't have any power. Well, Derrick Lewis felt that power tonight, and he got finished by that power, okay? And you look at what John Jones has done, overall body work. He didn't use the wrestling a lot in those fights. People said he wasn't that motivated, whatever the case may be. He won. He won every single one of those fights. But just because guys aren't getting finishes doesn't mean they don't have power. We need to stop that shit. It's just not true.
I mean, I don't think it was his leg kicks that I think that set all that up tonight.
Yeah, the leg kicks did. Took away his lead leg, no power left,
yeah,
and couldn't get out of the way of anything.
You got to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I don't think that Ciryl Gane has the typical knockout power that we've seen for most traditional heavyweights. But if Ciryl Gane hit me, would I say he hits hard? Fuck yes, man.
Yeah. We'd be eating through a straw for the rest of our lives if he hit either one of us. I mean,
so I don't.
It's all about perspective.
And that was the one thing, like I said, Ciryl hasn't displayed that. But again, that's 3 strikers in a row. And so when he faces somebody that's not a striker, he might starch him. He really might starch him because while he did dominate and pick Derrick Lewis apart, he couldn't just go balls out. And, he had to be careful in his tack and how he did that. Against Curtis Blades, for instance, Ciryl Gane wouldn't have to be that careful on his feet. Only thing he's worried about is getting taken down, but he could let his hands go. And so, I don't know if he doesn't have punching power or if stylistically the last 3 or 4 fights that he's been in, he hasn't been able to show it because he had to be careful because they're strikers, Yeah,
and John Jones is on the beach, by the way. And for the people wondering what John Jones's body looks like, right there is a little bit of an indication. But, hey, he won the fights, and that's what matters. Jeff, Jose Aldo looked like a world beater tonight against Munoz. Really happy for him. Tisha Torres looked great. Song Yadong and Casey Kenny with a good fight to start the card. Luque looked masterful again, and then Ciryl Gane. What are your final thoughts on UFC 265?
Jesus, well, I got to go back and see what happened. It was a good night of fights, but that main event kind of overshadowed everything. Yeah, man. Like I said, the first fight, the Kenny and Yadong fight was a fabulous fight. I just felt like Kenny deviated from the game plan. Tisha Torres put on a striking clinic over Angela Hill. Luque, beautiful. I mean, that Darce choke is really friggin' deceptive. Jose Aldo had remnants of his greatness, remnants of who he really is, And then Ciryl Gane continues to levy his assault on the heavyweight division all the way to the interim heavyweight title fight. And I think he has a similar matchup in his next outing. I don't think that Ciryl faces a lot of difficulty until he faces a Stipe or a Blades. I think that Ciryl beats Francis Ngannou outside of getting clipped. I mean, That's a possibility in every heavyweight fight. So, you know, if Ciryl walks out there and gets knocked out by Francis Ngannou because he gets clipped, that's just the nature of the business, man. I still think he's the better fighter. I think he's the better
occupational hazard.
Yeah, I think Stipe's a better fighter than Francis Ngannou. He just got knocked out by Francis. I mean, I don't know. I understand why some people don't think that's like I can bridge that gap, man. But I can say that all day. I can say Valentina is a better fighter than Amanda Nunes. She just can't beat Amanda Nunes. You know,
not at that weight class.
No, yeah, yep. And so I still think Francis is. I think Stipe's the best heavyweight in the world, and I think that Ciryl Gane's number 2 right now. I'll say that. That's the way. Like if I had to put together my rankings and I was the only one in control of the rankings, Stipe. Well, Francis would be the champion, so he's not in the ranking, and then Stipe would be number 1, and Ciryl Gane would be number 2, and then who gives a shit about the rest of them? You know, we'll talk about them when they get a win streak together.
Mic drop for Jeff Cain. Who gives a shit about the rest of them? We have a great group in the chat. I want to say thank you to all of you in the chat tonight, coming strong like you always do. Good night, host. Nice banner. God bless. Right back at you, Mr. Stuntafuco. We love you. But I'll tell you what, man, we really had a great show tonight and wouldn't be possible without all of you. Thanks to Scott. Make sure you go to MMAWeekly.com and check out all the great work Jeff and Hunter and our team are doing there. Also, follow us, subscribe, not only here on YouTube, but on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Get with it right now, guys. Get on the train. MMA Weekly going to the top in 2021. We are right there. We're building. We're growing. The numbers are growing every week, and we really do appreciate each and every one of you. For everyone I just mentioned, I am Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease, okay? But we just want you to know how much we enjoy doing this with you guys and for you guys every single week here on MMA Weekly. We got a week off next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks for Cannonier and Gastelum and Marco Madsen, the Olympian, against Clay Guida. Can't wait to see Marco Madsen, my buddy, get in there. Gastelum and Cannonier, the main event in 2 weeks. We get a week off next week. We get a week off next week. We get a week off next week. Jeff Cain will be back in 2 weeks with UFC Live Fight Night on MMA Weekly. Until then, fight fans, keep your game tight and your mind right. We are out.
Good pick on Gane, Jim. And you fuckers in the chat, right?